underground, 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 London in the underground. London in the underground, 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 London in the underground with your host Jimmy. London in the underground, 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 London in the underground with your host Jimmy. The music for all your needs with great personalities, bringing all white bands in the land to all broadcasting you straight live from the fall. London in the underground, 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 London in the underground with your host Jimmy. London in the underground, 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 London in the underground with your host Jimmy. James, that is.
Oh, killer. Good evening. Welcome to the London in the Underground, London's only independent music podcast showcasing some of our area's most talented artists, bands, and personalities. My name is Jimmy James. We're broadcasting live from the Vault Recording Studio at Adelaide and Princess here in London, Ontario. Thanks for joining us this evening. I'm assuming that we may have some new listeners this particular podcast after the last weekend's events. We had the Jack Richardson Music Awards, which I was humbled and privileged to be a part of and hosting, as well as the music seminars on Saturday, which there were a lot of faces out, including one of our guests tonight. And it was a great weekend of music, a celebration of some of our area's most talented, which kind of lends itself well to, what we're all about here at London Indie Underground. So to kind of introduce our panel for this evening, I start to my left, and as always, my co-host Gary Begner.
Hello.
How are you, G?
Good. How you doing?
Very well, man.
Good.
Brought some T-shirts.
I did. Brought you some shorts.
Yeah, buddy.
Next comes the sweatpants with LIUG across the ass.
And Juicy was taken.
I love it.
Yep.
That was great.
For our college female friends.
I got to tell you, man, we've had lots of requests and a couple of individuals.
For sweatpants?
No.
Damn.
Booties?
No.
Only you
No.
and
Booty. Yeah.
But I'll tell you, if
just
you do want to do up some yoga pants, probably done deal.
LIUG? Like,
Yeah.
do it.
That'll get the
clap.
most attention for the podcast out of anything.
Slow clap.
LIUG lemon.
Yep.
Yeah.
Solid.
Yeah.
That just blew my mind.
As long as they're unisex, I'll cram my Franks and beans in there for you.
And
I
that's
saw
where,
Living Color on Saturday. I know how to rock that.
That's just that's
and that's why we're not offering them to the men.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
fooling.
Sexist.
In video.
Also joining us, Mr. Brendan Eady.
Hi, guys.
How are you, man?
I'm all right. I'm better.
Yeah, you were hurting on Saturday there for the seminars.
Yeah, I apologize if anyone was there and had to witness me leave the panel 3 times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Woke up feeling pretty rough.
Norwalk virus? What?
I don't know, man.
Ebola.
Could have been. It was a 3-day bug, and I mean, I hadn't felt that sick since I was like 13.
Wow.
Yeah. It was a fun day, though.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Very informative. Some of my questioning or moderation, I suppose, was geared towards you, but I appreciated that you were in a tough condition.
Hey,
so
I did the best that I could.
I know you did. I know
And
you did. I'm not being critical.
It is. I mean,
If anything,
I
I'm being empathetic.
absolutely. I mean, I had a lot more to say and a lot more, insights to things that I wish that I could have gotten.
You'll get them next
across.
year, kid.
Yeah.
So
Pat
if
on
we-
the back. But
if
it
we weren't
sucked, man.
there-
It really sucked.
If we weren't there, what was the biggest takeaway? What would you say was
Well,
the
we'll
biggest...
get into that. I want to
Oh,
introduce
okay,
the
great,
rest of the
great. I wanna
panel
hear
here, and
more
then we'll have some succinct discussion about what took place this past weekend, because I think it's important for people to know that maybe aren't aware of what the Jack Richardson Music Awards are, and more specifically what it means for our community.
Yeah.
But also joining us today, kind of a last-minute addition to the podcast, Mr. Dustin Andrews with Get Party Records. Also, you may be familiar with him with the Dude Ranch and a group, Wasted Potential. Thank you very much for coming today.
Thanks for having me.
We put out a bit of a call. Unfortunately, the Wolf Brothers, you may be familiar with the Early Bird, the Night Owl, and Beards of Prey weren't able to join us today. But we put out a call at the last minute because, we want to have some compelling guests for you, and Dustin stepped up to the plate, so thank you for coming.
Sure, my beard's not big enough, but, they're big shoes to fill.
They're big beards to fill.
Yeah, exactly.
But you did bring beers,
Yeah,
so that works.
Beers of Prey.
here's a
There
prey.
you go. To his right, part of the LIUG alum, if you will, Mr. Joel
Where's
Krass.
my diploma, man?
How are you, buddy?
I'm great, man.
It's good to see you.
It has been a wild few weeks. What an emotional fucking wow. Wow, we'll get to it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing about it. So Joel just got back from an East Coast swing, and took in a lot of sights and a lot of sounds, and looking forward to connect and finding what.
I think I've seen over 100 performers in the last 10 days.
That's incredible.
Like from Nova Scotia to Toronto, and it's too bad I didn't get to see 2 more tonight. But oh well. Maybe
Well, Beards of Prey. Just to clarify, they weren't going to perform.
Oh.
No, they were just our guests
Just
for
gonna
today.
chill.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they've been busy with the restaurant and with the nightclub, so it was cool. It was going to be neat to kind of get that perspective, and we'll touch on that a little bit later. I'm sure Brendan can definitely speak with some authority on that, being involved with their businesses, but. But I digress. Thank you for...
There's another famous guy right over here.
Absolutely. So to his right, Mr. Dan Tran from the band Stalefish.
Justin Timberlake.
Handsome Dan.
Which, incidentally, won the Jack Richardson Music Award.
Yeah.
Congratulations, man.
Congratulations, Dan.
Album of the year, was that right?
No.
Rock band.
Best dressed guitar player.
Accurate.
Asian guitar player.
Wow, that's a tough field this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really
There
was.
was a lot of
Very
competition in that one.
There was. There
It's
was.
pretty tough.
No, really, what did you win?
We won Best Rock Group for
Best rock.
2013, yeah.
That's awesome.
Or 12.
That was great. It was a surprise.
food.
It was a surprise.
And so, what do they judge that on? Live performances, your record? How do they? What makes?
You tell me,
He
panel.
would be better to speak to that, actually.
Okay.
So basically, for those of you who don't know, the Jack Richardson Music Awards, it's a community and a panel and a chair of people who get together. Basically, it's broken down into a nomination process. So I was actually the head chair for the rock and for metal. No, not
So
metal.
this is
just
a
rock.
coincidence that you're here.
Oh.
Well, no. So basically,
I was kidding.
so it's broken down into each category has a nomination head. They then build a panel of 5 or 6 people who are industry pros and who are involved, who then come together with their top 8 nominees. We then compare lists, discuss them about who each person thinks is worthy of a nomination, and then we kind of coincide, and that's where the nominations come from.
How ugly did it get?
So then,
Not at all.
Oh, no, really? So you just crushed it, man.
oh, you
Congratulations.
just killed it. But then from there, it's cool because it's kind of open to the public, where the Jacks have this registration. If you think that you are worthy, I guess, if you're involved in the music industry in any way, and for like an artist, a promoter, a producer, a photographer, a fan, you can register on the site to potentially become one of the people voting for the awards.
So it's not a complete free-for-all.
It's not like it's not one of the
You can't collude.
it's not the popularity contest where it's like, hey man, I need 1,000 friends to vote for me.
Super
so
no
win.
way.
So I mean, it's actually
Yeah.
Like, what are some of the criteria they break it down to, though? Like, within...
I mean, well, the way I look at it is how busy your band is.
That's a good one.
Like how
They have been pretty busy. That's what... That's a...
Well, that's
yeah.
a big one, actually.
I mean, obviously your songwritings, your songs, albums, what's coming out, tour dates. Like I don't know how well you're representing London. I guess in terms of your category.
And let's be honest too. At the same time, they did play recently at the St. Patrick's Day show with Two
Absolutely.
Crown King. But beyond that, with the new album, I mean, you guys have a bit of a legacy, I suppose. With I guess the other awards in London, the London Music Awards, and jury's out, I guess, about how people feel about that in terms of whether it's a popularity contest or whatever the case may be. But I think you guys, a number of years in a row, won the World Music Award.
Yeah, which we were trying to get out of.
Fair enough. But still, there's still recognition there, and I think it was.
It's great, but there was way more deserving people in that category than us.
In the world category?
For world music, yeah.
So that's, I mean, your older stuff is tough because it was reggae and it was ska, and it was hard to like place you. I mean, I was never one to say, hey man, put them in world music because you're playing like Cuban.
No, it's
whatever,
it's
but-
totally a weird category.
Yeah.
'Cause there's not a lot of bands that are in the
in the genre.
that are active and playing and gigging and doing
I look
stuff,
at bands
so-
that play Sunfest, and I would consider
Exactly,
them,
like-
Agreed.
Yeah.
Right.
But I suppose how many of those bands represent London?
Well, 3.
Yeah.
But
I can't even.
I
And
almost-
I'm pretty sure Alfredo K-Jax is in all of them.
Yeah.
I can see you guys would have fit on Sunfest perfectly.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that's the cool thing. Oh, I mean, we're kind of
It's
straying
still
from
like-
the thing, but
Of course.
I do have to think that splitting you're splitting hairs when we're talking about ska and rock music. It's not really being derivative of the same genre. Like, I mean, I can't. I would still put Sublime as a rock band. I wouldn't call them a world band. So it is a little weird. When I think world music, I'm talking about, I think steel drums and calypso.
Yeah.
And
Didgeridoos.
Exactly. I don't think of ska. But you know, as long as you won, man.
I think they were just being racist towards Richard.
He's got dreadlocks. They've got an Asian guy, and
You guys got some color.
He's from
We
Trinidad,
are a
so I
world
mean,
group.
you are
We're
like
a
a
world
model
music group.
UN
Right.
band.
Right.
we do it.
Very multicultural. You guys
Asian,
just start your own
black,
UN.
Indian.
At the same time, too, the
French.
new stuff, the new album, self-titled album, which was
Yeah.
produced here at the Vault Recording Studio. It's
By you and
by me. Certainly a stronger rock element
Yeah.
to it comparatively to some of the previous releases. So I think it lent itself well to that category.
Yeah.
I got to say, I'm really proud of you guys.
I'm
It's
really
a
proud of
huge-
you, man.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
Must be
Yeah.
all the Smashing Pumpkins Chad's listening to lately.
Yeah. There was.
I lived with two of them for like 3 years, so
Okay.
it's weird to see guys that play that genre of music and go home and know like they don't listen to anything like that.
Yeah.
Really?
I'm like, really? You don't listen? Richard, like you? And it's like, no, not at all. Richard's like
Richard's
listens to metal.
Oh,
yeah.
Chad listens to Taylor Swift and Smashing Pumpkins.
True.
I swear to God.
True.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like Taylor Swift now too, but I
You
didn't
are
back
you
then.
you were advocating her the most
I
after
do.
making fun of me all the time for
You know,
playing
we're
that
we're
shit.
starved for breakup songs, so we really need artists like her to come to the forefront. It was Stalefish the Conquest, is that right? Did I have the
Yeah.
record right? Congratulations, man.
Thank
There
you.
was
And congratulations to you too, Jim.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. That was a lot of fun to do that album, and to your point, Chad, when he came in, cited Smashing Pumpkins as one of his biggest influences, and me being a huge Pumpkins fan too, and in particular their approach to recording and layering and really guitar driven and strong melodies that lent itself well to a great working relationship. So, unorthodox approach, I think, to that recording, but I think it came out pretty well and represents I think a new edge to the sound,
Yeah.
which again,
Yeah, it was that. It's more like after our Color by Numbers album, it did start to get rocky. There's a little more rock involved, but it's kind of just refined after this self-titled.
yeah, certainly. All right, well, I think we should probably get to a song here.
Yeah, great call.
Before we do that, though, I do a couple of things that I want to announce before we get to that, and some of you have perhaps seen our post up on Facebook, maybe our tweets, beginning this Friday on CHRW Radio 94.9 FM here in London, which is the college radio station. Brandon Eady and I will be taking London Indie Underground to CHRW from 3:30 p.m. on Friday till 6. Basically, the drive show. It'll be a primetime show featuring all independent music from this area. And I got to tell you, we're really excited to be able to support the community. We haven't had anything like this, I think, in some time. And certainly CHRW has had a number of shows that have supported local talent, without question.
I think the amazing thing is it's the time slot you have.
Yeah, that's...
Like they have awesome shows, but who's at 1 o'clock in the morning listening to the radio?
It's difficult. It's difficult,
on a
right?
Tuesday or something.
Friday Drive Show is arguably one of the more popular time slots for people to tune into radio because they happen to be in their vehicle.
As a Western student,
Yeah.
it'll just be pounded onto the concrete beach at that time, man. When
Yeah.
the weather's good, we just flop around like practically outside the doors of that studio.
Yep.
And all over it.
Oh yeah.
As a guy who was there, look, we got our start in CHRW in 19... and as you said the other day, like, our record was still lying around up there. Obviously they don't take the trash out enough. They got to fire the janitors up there. But it's a great environment. It's a
You have to play a
constructive
Z track,
environment.
then it must be laying around somewhere.
They have cassette tapes. They actually brought in a cassette deck because nostalgia is selling right now, and people are taking to cassette tape as their medium for their new releases.
Wow.
I gave you 2 cassettes. So.
Maybe we'll
Did you?
start having ether parties and taking X-ray photographs again. Like that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Cassette tapes.
It's an affordable medium for a very small run.
If you were not there when we switched to CDs, like you don't understand how we saved you the trouble. Like
it's cheap, It's just for if somebody's doing 30.
CDs cost nothing.
But 30 CDs don't cost nothing unless you're burning them.
Nobody has tape decks. You're asking your whole audience to go buy tape decks. Don't tell me it's cheap.
Well, it's certainly a niche market.
I think there's a choice when you go to a merch table though, if you
Yeah.
buy a tape or not.
Sell music people they can use, or sell the music that they threw out 35 years ago.
Right, but if it's an option that's sitting on the table that
No
you
one's
can
gonna
buy.
these things. A waste of money.
I've
But
sold-
that's
I've sold
where I
all
have to
mine.
disagree with you, because people have been selling them.
They're going to represent 1% of the overall market, and strategically to play to that tiny edge of the wedge is a waste of your resources.
I would say there's
That's
less
the
of a
thing.
percent that
I mean,
would
we
buy
don't
CD.
have to agree.
No,
But I'm
for sure.
saying that if you think cassette decks are lying around, I don't know what world you live in.
I think
No,
it's
but
more of like I think it's more of like a collector's thing because it's like there's
Because the whole hard medium is
Your
gone.
band better be
Like-
that good, man.
like
Your
nobody's
band
buying-
better be
yeah.
that good. If you
But-
think you're going to make it up on tapes.
No, but I just mean like for my point, I think it's agreeing with everything else. CDs aren't really selling as much because everybody can do the downloads.
Yes.
Cassettes aren't selling as much. Like probably might not sell, and it goes the same with vinyl. The only people that are collecting vinyl are diehard vinyl guys.
I don't know
you
anybody who's a Walkman anymore. And if they do, I don't
I've got
think they're
one.
going to pick it up instead of their smartphone or iPad. So I just don't see the
Here's like
utility.
my opinion. Someone buys a CD. The first thing they do, they go home, they rip it, put it on their iTunes, they throw that CD into wherever.
Yeah.
The tape comes with the download card, so they're already skipping the step of having to rip it.
I don't
download
I don't think you guys remember throwing out boxes of tapes a long time ago.
I never
So
did. I still haven't.
Yeah, I still have
I
mine.
still have all my.
Right, you
have
still
all my
have them,
tapes,
but you're not
yeah.
listening to them every day, are you? Nor are you pulling
But-
them out yesterday. So
but-
I
Actually,
really don't get it.
I did spend some time a little while ago downloading, like ripping a bunch of my cassettes,
Yep,
just
exactly.
because.
But you weren't thrilled to have the cassette out and rewind to hear that track again. Like,
Well, particularly
Or
when the
flip
tape
it.
was all tight and you had to put it on a pencil. and
right,
get it
that's
down
what I'm
to
saying.
get
Or
it back,
melt
you
on
know.
your fucking car roof or whatever
Right.
it was.
Yeah,
You know, I
true.
don't know, man. Like,
But it's
I'll
like-
never get behind this now.
Yeah.
No,
But a
no,
lot-
I get it. But like I said, I think nostalgia sells, right?
Yeah, I think it's the
Whose?
collectability.
Whose?
Yeah.
These kids weren't there. Whose nostalgia?
But
is
that's
no,
why-
but it's the kids that want to embrace the old technology because
Yeah.
it's
Ether
cool,
parties,
right?
X-ray photographs, man. Enjoy your cancer. I don't know what to tell you. Like,
Fair enough.
I
But
sound like Edie.
I get harassed. I get harassed. I get harassed a bunch. Like Tony Lima, he lays into
Look.
me about it. Everybody does, but like when it's 1 of 30, like that stuff, like those things, like if a band is actually worthwhile,
Dude,
that
you
stuff
can-
goes on the internet and sells for like 30, 40 bucks a piece.
Bands don't have money. They can spend their money on a lot of things, and I think buying tapes is the biggest waste of their money. If you're Fu Manchu, release a tape. You've been at it long enough that the aesthetic makes sense. Release vinyl. If you're not, honestly,
The
I
tape
think
is
there's a
cheaper.
lot of things you can
The
do with
tape
your
is
money.
cheaper than either of those items.
But you know what's cheaper? Not spending that money. And having a download that's free and infinitely duplicatable and can be copied like your genome and is lossless and won't melt on your dashboard. And anyway, play some music, man.
Fair enough. So to kind of take it back to what we were saying there. So
Whoa.
beginning this Friday, London in the Underground will be on CHRW Radio 94.9 FM. And we are encouraging bands. We've had a lot of bands submit tracks to us here just to be a part of the podcast. The podcast will continue from 7 till 9 p.m. every Wednesday. It's going to be the same format. We'll have some compelling guests as well as some live band performances. However, we have to discontinue the Indie Flow pre-show, which runs from 6 until 7, which we were just jamming local bands. The reason why is because on Fridays now on radio during the drive, we're going to be featuring those bands. So I think it's going to be a great boost for our community. We're encouraging bands to send us some tracks. If you happen to be in a band and you're listening to this for the first time and you've not sent us in tracks previously, we ask you to send us MP3s, not links to your Bandcamp page.
Not cassettes.
Not cassettes, although there is a
Probably
cassette.
did.
There is a cassette player.
Send us your files. You can log on to your interwebs, go to your Hotmail, go to whatever email account you use, and send an email to londonindieug@hotmail.com. Attach an MP3 or two, as well as any band vitals, perhaps some shows that you have coming up. Send them to us. We want to promote you. We want to support you. We want to help you connect with the London community.
I'm gonna have a lot of fun with that. I think we're
I
gonna have
think
a
so.
blast, man.
I think so, man.
And even for like the fans out there, like we're gonna be doing, I'm gonna bring on a lot of guests from time to time. Every
Yeah, me
week we're
too.
gonna give away some tickets to shows.
We got some guests this Friday.
Yeah.
You know,
Also, send us your upcoming events. I mean, I pretty much have that all covered. But if I don't know something, send it to us in the email. We can talk about it. Because I think every week we're gonna do a breakdown of what's coming up in the week. And
That's right.
That's great. And there's so much live talent at the Spoke and at the Wave that just comes through naturally through school that if you guys can connect with those guys, what a blessing. For
Certainly.
people in Saugeen or in Medway or whatever as you're in, what a blessing to have guys that are going to be connected to the players on campus, in campus, not fucking,
Probably.
picture tapes. I was in that scene in the long ago in the before time, and I'm like envious that you get to go and
Thanks, buddy.
and run the show, man. Well deserved.
I appreciate that. Friday, we're going to be joined on air at CHRW by the Alcoholies, who were last year's recipients of the Punk Rock Award, and were presenters this year. As well as we're going to be joined on the phone by Chuck Daly
Nice.
from I Mother Earth.
God,
and the
I hate that
Salads.
guy.
That guy's a dick.
I know.
I hope
Absolutely.
he doesn't pull over when he calls in.
I think Dave Zima's listening right now, by the way.
Get out.
If you'd like to give a shout
If
out
he knew
to
I was here, he'd have turned it off already.
Davey Z. Actually, you posted up, and he commented on your post on Facebook, wanted to know what time it was, so I told him what time it was,
well.
and
Tell
he
him
might
it's
even be
time to
listening.
sell me
Now.
my
Hey,
mess of
Davey.
money
Dave Z.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Master of the Fly Eyes. All right, so let's get to some music. So speaking of the Alcoholies, as I mentioned, they're going to be joining us on Friday. I thought I'd drop a track for them. So this is a track called Flashback to 93 from the Alcoholies on the London Indie
Tapes.
Underground. Alcoholics.
Weird.
All right.
Yes, it's over, Joel.
I know.
The song is now over.
Are we
Do
talking
you
yet?
not, no,
Are we
but
talking
really,
yet?
do you not remember the Candy Darlings from back in your day? They used to play at the Embassy all the time.
The Embassy, fuck, maybe actually. Now that you mentioned, no, I don't. I remember like Seaback at the Embassy.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember the Embassy burning down.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing
was
Helmet
awesome.
there. And I remember
Which
seeing
is
Twisted
awesome.
Sister there.
Oh man.
But
I wish I had seen Helmet.
I
you know,
was
the
seen Helmet there,
Embassy
too.
is.
Oh my God.
John Stanier signed my ticket, and when we saw them at Lee's Palace about 2 years ago, I still had it.
Yeah.
And I showed it to him, and he was like, "You people."
What is wrong with you?
Why do you hold on to your receipts from
I think it's
things?
hilarious now. Since we're talking about the Embassy. I mean, obviously, if it wasn't for the Embassy, I wouldn't be here. That's where I got my start.
Totally.
I
He was
did.
born
I
there,
did.
actually.
Pretty much was born in there. I had flies from the urinal flying my
Yeah.
throat. And shit. Dude, I have like
That
the most
explains a lot.
disgusting stories about that place.
Well, there's no
But,
clean
I
stories
mean,
from the Embassy.
Even growing up, like I was going there when I was 12 years old, and I saw some of the best bands there. I put on some amazing shows.
It was a
and what I
legitimate
think,
stop.
what I think is hilarious now is that people didn't appreciate it back then. And they go around, oh, the Embassy, nobody wants to go play there. Nobody wants to go see shows.
Wrong.
And now everyone's like, man, I fucking miss that place.
You know
Yeah.
what? It's systemic. Like you see, like with the cathedral closing in downtown Toronto.
Oh, with the Big Bob gone,
Big
it's
Bob
crappy
gone.
down
It's
there.
right,
Yeah,
and
Queen
it
Street
doesn't
sucks.
only like suck
Other
for
than the
big
Boba.
bands. It sucks for 16-year-olds who don't have Sunday after hours or Sunday all hours to play. So,
Yeah.
like probably Gary and me, if we were fucking 12 when the Forgotten Rebels were going around,
Yep.
that was the kind of crucible we needed.
Yeah, you don't know what you got until it's gone. And
Yep.
It's like it was a starting point for a lot of smaller bands because
Yeah.
it's not always the easiest to get in like the music hall or called office. It's like
Totally.
a stepping stone,
Let alone
like that and the Wick, like, and they're gone.
for punk rock.
Yep.
Man, not
Start-
even just
start-
for punk rock, for anything. I
But
mean,
other venues won't do punk rock. The Embassy was rare, and Cathedral was rare in that they'd let kids make a lot of bad noise.
Yeah.
well, yeah, because I mean, those were places, those were developmental places where you could go
Totally.
and you could be the worst band in the world.
decade.
But all your friends would come.
But all your friends would come, and then you'd get better, and progressively,
Yeah.
you know, that's where you would learn and hone your craft. Like I was saying on the panel the other day, like the best practice you can get is
It's
live.
It's a gig.
It's
yeah,
not
I
in your
agree.
basement. It's in front of people
Agreed.
because you're on the spot.
Agreed. But do it under a pseudonym.
Yes.
But
At least for the first show.
Yeah.
Their shows at the Whip It, man.
it's hard though because it's like that level is stepped up of where you can start at now. Like,
Absolutely.
you know it, like
Yeah.
for sure. Like those kids are like coming straight out of like practicing for half a year, and it's like they're getting up into like a fairly bigger show now, and it's
Yeah.
like they don't get to start with the smaller ones anymore.
Well, the truth is they're not ready when they get there. And I'm in case in point. I saw Living Color on Saturday, and I saw 2 Toronto bands open for them. And I'll tell you, you're not ready. Like
No.
no one is going to be ready to open for Living Color in this country, let alone in Toronto. I say that like, and I mean it. The only band that I would put before Living Color might be Primus.
I saw them perform at WrestleMania.
Oh, people raved about that. I
And
didn't
it
see
was
it, but they
incredible.
raved about it.
It was incredible.
Was it that night?
It was the Sunday night.
It was.
Yeah.
I missed it. I missed it. Yeah.
Yeah, you came late.
Yeah, we showed up late.
That's funny. Actually, when I saw In Living Color in New York, it was Primus as the opening band, but this was like years ago, like years upon. But yeah, same thing. It was a great blend. But there's just not to
staying
the
on topic.
yeah to the point. It's like they're just not. There is no places to play like for
stepping
young
stones,
bands
the
to-
first
yeah.
couple of stones are gone now.
Where are
Yep.
those places? Like, where would somebody cut their teeth?
In London now,
Yeah.
there's no
CTO.
really.
CTO.
No, but even and
There's less drop now.
yeah, but the problem is that they don't allow all ages shows. And
The Spoke,
so
the
there's
Wave,
no
those are places
there's no
they could
places
do it.
that you
The
can
Fan
A,
Shop
build
Bar.
your band, B, you can build your scene, your following,
no
and
younger
come together as a
fan
community,
shop.
and then grow together in the years.
That's true.
I felt like what I was
That's
doing
true.
for 2 years at my house, I was that.
That was
Yeah.
you.
I was-
The Dude Ranch was that place.
I was
Yeah.
like
to fill the
letting
void.
bands
Yeah.
bring out their fans. People knew what they
All
were
right.
like.
So maybe if I can tee this up, so some of our listeners maybe not familiar with the Dude Ranch and specifically what you guys were doing. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I basically opened my house up to bands to play. We moved in there, and it was funny because the first day we met our landlord, he like looked at us and he's like, "You guys look like you play music," and we're like, "We do, but we won't play here," like, you know. And he's like, "No, you could totally play here," and we're like, "Yeah, okay." Fast forward half a year, our friends were like, "We need a place to play," and it's the same thing where it's like they weren't big enough to play Call the Office or whatever, so we're like, you know what, let's try to do it in our basement. It went over well. So what we did is we just let the smaller bands play in our basement, and it honestly, it so quickly snowballed and attracted people from all over Canada, like messaging us, because there's this huge void of if you can't bring at least 50 people to a show, you're sort of screwed because a promoter doesn't want to touch you
The venue
because
doesn't
you're
want to.
losing money because
Right.
economically it doesn't make sense because you have to pay a door guy, you have to pay a sound guy, you have to pay the staff, security, who knows what. So in our house, there's no overhead. So if 20 people show up, I can give the the $100 that's made at the door to this band that brought out 20 people, and it just opened up the doors for like I need local bands to play. Who's out there? Who can bring their friends? You always get those bands that are brand new. They have the first show draw. They're gonna bring out people because everybody's like, oh, we've been practicing for like a year. We want to play a show. So that was the segue for like them to go from there to doing a show with him or for Tony at Called Office. We had tons of like brand new London bands play.
Yeah, man. I found out a
That's
lot
great.
from you. I mean, and
older
even I
London
did. I
bands,
did some American touring bands there a couple times.
We played there a couple times too.
Yeah,
It was
like
great.
It was awesome because it was a development place, but it was also a house party vibe. So it was
Yeah.
super
So
relaxed.
you became a bit of a tour destination then for bands coming through, right?
we literally had people like promote like actual like booking agents messaging us like he deals with like Adam Kreeft and Kreeft has like a he did books like Hot Water Music and stuff.
Oh, wow.
Once he like got him in touch with me, Kreeft would like be like I have this date like he knows what level his band's on and he knows if it's not a Friday or a Saturday his band's only going to pull so much, so he's like it might do well at your house on this date. He's like, can you do something? For sure, we'll try to work it out. So it's just
Yeah, Kreeft and I got Hugo involved. With
Hugo, like there's all kinds of places. We had people from France, we had people from Florida, a bunch of New York bands, all through the States, like tons across Canada, tons of Montreal bands. Like
Well, I mean, for the most part, it was punk rock.
it was
for the
punk
most
rock.
part, which is awesome.
The
'cause-
venues here for that used to be the Vault, which closed. It's a Shoppers Drug Mart parking lot now, right around the corner at Oxford and Adelaide. Obviously the Embassy.
Embassy, Whippet, Wick.
Totally the Wick.
Wick.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, even back when I was, in high school, there was the what was it called? The Boys and Girls Club.
It
There
was the Boys and Girls.
Yeah.
No, but it was a
Yeah.
room or something there.
Yeah, there was
and they used to do shows there all the time. like,
Richmond and
Yeah,
York
in
Street
York.
you're talking about. Yeah.
and they would,
Ricky's or something like that.
something like that.
I will
Yeah.
give it props though. There's a couple kids out there, and I don't know them because they're younger and they're probably on the verge of like maybe graduating high school or just starting college, and they're doing some like garage shows and stuff. I don't know them. I've never
I
been
saw
to
that
them.
come up. Yeah.
But like every once in a while, something pops up until someone screws it up. Because it honestly, if I can talk to anybody that's listening to this,
Damn law.
it's like these people that are allowing this to happen in their house. You have a couple basic rules that apply to like partying at somebody's house. One, park your vehicle as far from the house as you can
Sorry,
and
don't
walk
be a heat
there.
score.
2, don't hang out in the front yard. It's like as much as you want to be in the light, wherever their front yard light is, the cops can see that. It's like, keep it in the backyard, keep it in the house, don't throw bottles around, park far so people can't even tell there's a house party going on. Like, the noise doesn't matter. Somebody's home stereo sounds the same almost. It's in a basement. But,
Not when Jimmy plays.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard, man.
but it's like,
88.
if you want these things
Pardon
to
me?
keep happening, if
80.
you do these couple of things, they can continue happening.
Hold on a second. We need to pause for a moment. ATDHE.EU.
Thanks.
There you go. Just incidentally, if you happen to be looking for a website that you can stream live
Okay.
sports from,
Brandon needs his fix.
you now know.
Got the shakes.
Well,
know-
it's blocked out on my game center. So
It's great that you mentioned that. There's even a young lady that's in the other room here. Her name is Lauren Deno, who connected with us after the Jack Richardson Music Awards, and she's been working with a band called Texas King, and she's got an outdoor or a backyard party that's going to be coming up, and I understand that she's been doing this for a while. So there's people that have taken to opening their doors or at least trying to find alternative ways to
sure.
showcase music.
and that's great because that's where it kind of needs to be right now.
It's like the fans need the help just as much to avoid the heat scores on it.
Can't be heat score. It's like one rule. Don't be a heat score. Anything you do, don't be a heat score. Like, it's common sense.
right.
Seems like the cops are getting a little harder.
It is.
Yeah.
Like, and people don't realize it's like there would be like 40 people hanging out in my front yard. And I just, if you can do one thing for me, just
Don't be a heat score.
hang in the backyard. I'm like, the cops come by and see 40 kids hanging around, and some of them look questionably
Right.
17 to 20. I'm like, they're gonna stop in.
Of course, but I mean, it's the nature of us when we're trying, like when we're desperate affiliation, we're trying to find a sense of ourselves, to put ourselves on display. And it's so hard to tell someone not to do that. But, it takes a long time to deprogram that.
You're gonna be really famous if you're the one dude that the cops bust
Right.
that you're
You'll be
18
famous.
years old and that venue's closed down because of you standing. right
Yeah,
there.
man, that
Yeah.
happens all the time.
Happens
Like,
every day.
yeah,
And those
And
places
you know what?
don't come back.
church shows, community centers,
Yeah.
even the all ages venues, man. Like,
Legions.
there's those. Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll run into those idiot fucking kids, and I don't mean any offense to
No,
it, but
they're
you're
us,
going out
no.
and you're supporting the show and you're having a good time, and that's
It's
great.
hard not to have a good
but
time.
if
right?
if you're 16 years old and you're getting wasted or doing pills or something like that, which
well,
they do
then
now,
now you're an idiot.
yeah, I mean, you're enjoying your time, but you're risking either the
Everybody else's
license
time.
or the
Yeah,
venues.
or the venue.
You're
Yeah.
risking the enjoyment of the show and the future use of that place
Yeah, be smart.
for everyone else. And I mean, in the 15 years that I've been doing this, anyways, I've seen 350 places in Ontario at least come and go because of
Right.
that shit.
And you know what? The truth is that when you come to the other side of that tunnel, if you do make it out of these venues after 10 or 15 years, and you get a really an actual spot on a real tour for like in a real context, you won't be ready. And so no matter what you do, you're never going to be prepared for the next level. No matter what you do. But when we handcuff ourselves by not creating policy that supports developmental venues in our markets, we will never get guys to the next stage.
No, and that's
And that comes from not fans, not venue owners. It comes from policy. It comes from leaders in our communities saying, oh, we recognize this is a deficiency. Here's a lever we can pull.
You've been seeing it in London, like
And
honestly.
in Toronto, and in Peterborough, and in everywhere, man.
They're all losing their small venues, and the local bands are not progressing as quickly
5
as
days
you'd like.
ago, I was in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and I had a conversation with the guy who owns the Economy shoe shop out there. It turns out he's the True's bass player's father, and he changed all their diapers, whatever, because he's a great guy, and he really gets this. He sat on the board of Video Fact for years until he was no longer on the board of Video Fact. And he explained to me one thing that is coming in there. It's one of many complex issues, which is why their scene is fundamentally healthier than ours. And I say that, and I believe it, and anyone who doubts me, go look for yourself. They have not had the same encroachment in rents in their downtowns to squeeze out these venues yet, in the same way we have. Now, the problem is, so we're talking about bars like the Embassy, and don't tell me Dundas Street's in good shape. It wasn't rents that closed the Embassy. So it's an easy thing to say I'm in trouble because the rents are getting worse. But when we really try to apply that lesson, looking backwards in certain markets like here, it doesn't wash. Something else is also at work. And I think it comes back to policy. We have enough bands. We have enough talent. We have enough fans. We have enough venue holders. What is it? And that's a question for you at the Strike the Road Night Council.
Oh, I
Like,
applaud
that's-
Halifax. Like I was seeing somebody there for a while, and I went there a bunch of times. Like, Gus's pub is like the embassy of Halifax.
Charlottetown has a better scene than most cities in
Man.
Ontario, and it's 32,000 people.
some of my favorite times were touring out there.
Like-
And in Halifax, it'd be awesome because as a young band, you'd go in, you'd be relatively unknown. You'd get a show at the Pavilion in the afternoon, all ages, and then you'd go play the Attic at night, which is a 3-roomed bar.
Yeah.
And they'd charge cover for everybody, but they would pay you all of the money.
Well, here's something I noticed. 'Cause
So
I
you
saw
would fund your entire East Coast run based on,
on
that
one show.
one night.
I went from the Globe to the Kahan House to Barely's to the Economy Shoe Shop. So that's 4 venues in 2 cities and 2 provinces. I didn't pay cover once. Not once did I pay a nickel to see what I would say are the best improvisational blues players in the country, pound for pound, in markets that were half the size of Niagara Falls, that were the size of fucking Thorold, Ontario. Toronto should have 1,000 of these venues if you just want to do that sort of straight numbers comparison. And I'll tell you, man, it's a complicated, it's a much more complicated equation than it appears.
I just feel they support their arts just straight up out there.
Don't tell me we don't. Between the Toronto Arts Council and the London Arts Council, the Ontario Arts Council, and the Canada Arts Council, and all of these councils and societies, the Toronto Blues Society, don't tell me there's not enough organizations.
We don't,
that are
though. We
supporting guys.
just lost our
I
Blues
was, yeah,
Fest.
to that I would say there's always in those situations you get these giant councils, you get too many people involved that don't know shit.
So this is what I came to, because to be honest, I had a lot of time to think about driving back to 17 hours.
Can we hold this?
Yeah,
this
sure.
thought? I think we should get to another song and then we'll
Please
come back
do.
and
Yeah,
continue
yeah,
on this
yeah, let's do
discussion. So one of the bands that has sent us in tracks previously is a band called Tandem Eagle. otherwise known as Tandem Fucking
Okay,
Eagle.
you-
Sorry, I wasn't
Right,
there to
you
hear
will
it.
always correct me every time I,
will.
say it, so I just got to tee it up properly. Features.
I play in a band with the drummer
There you go.
called Dinner Time.
Right, so it features Mac Rady and Kyle Ashbourne, which is the production team at EMAC Studios. So
Oh, wonderful.
They sent us a new track called Beast with Two Backs. So we'll get to that right after a word from our sponsor.
Underground Sound is London's fully equipped rehearsal studios. We provide only top quality backline gear with affordable hourly rates and package pricing. Audio video production services are also available. Visit us online at undergroundsoundlondon.com. That body is a weapon, a loaded gun, pointed at my head. Can I get it in? My mouth is open, waiting. Your poison cup, I'll shove you back. Unzip the threads while I say, ooh, I'll turn the lights down and set fire to the bed. While I get a little more blood flowing from me to you, I'll keep you wrapped up in my hands. I never wanted all the torture, but it feels too good to look the other way. And I wait too hard to ignore the stag inside me. He stands erect and commands I dive on in. While I sing, I'll turn the lights down and set fire to the bed. While I get a little more blood pumping from me to you, I'll split your lips with my we'll shoot the lights out and detonate on the bed. While I pour myself out through the tunnel, spill over you and keep the image on my head.
Dude, I told you on this. I gotta go.
Tandem
Drummer.
Fucking.
Fucking Eagle.
That's badass, man.
Beast with Two Backs on the London Indie Underground. Great song, gentlemen. Really enjoy that stuff. Looking forward to
Playing the song.
an album. We've got 2 tracks, and I guess they've been working on it as they go. Because, you know, of course, when you have EMAC Studio and the whole facility available to you on any downtime, is it, you know,
What do you
great place
do,
to record.
right?
Yeah, exactly. It's
You
kind of
make
like,
a
what do we do
kick-ass
here?
record.
What you don't
Exactly.
do is go downstairs and play pool. You do anything but. You
Right.
like sit in that room behind that big stained glass window, and you're in the Church of Rock. It's an old Salvation Army church,
I'd live there.
and we did 3 months there in the Headstrong record. Like we had 2 choices: go to LA, blow it in a week on a guy like I Don't Care, or stay at home and work with Dan and be comfortable for 3 months. And well, I don't regret a moment.
Oh, I bet. So if you want to continue on this discussion here.
I
we're
have
talking
one
about the
thing
East
to.
Coast.
I'll raise a point, and you tell me if you think it's true or not. What I've observed, having been from Victoria to Halifax now, have really probably been in 95% of our markets that are of, I don't want to say significance, because I really think every market's significant, but that's on the Trans-Canada Highway. Let's say it that way. I really believe that it is directly related to the strong presence of major record labels that our scenes are the weakest. In the cities where we have the most major label investment, we have the weakest scenes. And I think that's true because they reward the weakest performers in the grand scheme. They're after a demographic that is really the next thing they hear will be the best thing they heard. Young guys.
Do you mean that isn't like the bands?
I'm not trying to be derogatory.
The wrong bands get the wrong recognition?
Of course, I think majors sign the
if they're
shittiest
just not
bands
good talent.
because they're selling records to 12-year-olds and 10-year-olds. And when Twinkle Twinkle Little Stars in the top of the charts in 2015 with Mary Had a Little Lamb right behind it, you'll be begging for the Jackson 5 doing ABC 123, man.
I can agree. Like when you put the focus on like a certain band because one band is like blowing up and a major label's into them, they're going to look at that specific group of bands in that scene and like ignore all the talented bands that are playing something slightly different.
Let me say it a different way. Canada's not big enough to support the notion of genre. We're not. You cannot have major label punk rock in Canada. There are not enough butts. You cannot have major label even ska for some extent.
It doesn't want to be punk.
But in the States, there's enough. There's 30, 50, 70 million guys that'll buy your record in the States. Here there isn't. And so because most Canadian majors are already the left hand of American companies anyway, we just slap Canada behind it. You know, BMG Canada. You know, BMG give two shits about Canadian values, believe me. Like,
They can all fucking
so what I'm saying is that in their rush to appeal to our widest, only profitable demographic, being teenagers with money to burn who are constantly connected to high market media channels like iTunes, they're not after what I just heard. There's not enough Canadians to push that to the forefront, ever.
It depends on what forefront you're looking at.
Honestly,
The people that get paid is what I'm talking about. I'm saying
here, like watch everybody's seen that Factor thing pop up. I don't know. Some people disagree or love it. Like
Factor.
Did you watch? Did you read it though? That guy brought up like I know some of this stuff is questionable, but
Yeah,
like
what about the Trues and
and where the money is going and like how easy it is to get the money.
The Trues are good,
So
though.
for people that don't know what we're talking about, there was an article that we had posted up on our page, and essentially it came from a West Coast musician. I think it was somebody who was in Edmonton or Calgary.
Calgary he was a teacher.
Yeah.
And a promoter.
Yeah, a promoter that
I've worked with
took
for
to
you.
social media to rant about his frustrations
No.
in dealing with the music industry, particularly with
Factor.
the grant reward system.
I don't think it's like I'm not saying that the guy was right, but I think he's
Oh,
really awesome about
Yeah.
opening people's eyes up to questioning where the money's being
Fair, that's-
I
allotted.
can tell you unequivocally Factor colludes with the majors in Toronto. I can tell you that guaranteed. Without a shadow of a doubt.
But I'm
Is
not
that
saying
true?
the Trues are bad, but you could split what money's
Okay.
put into them into
Here's what I wanna say about
20
the
other
Trues.
really good bands, and they could go a little further.
You're right. When Bruce Coburn makes a video, he doesn't need money from Factor anymore. He will get it, but he doesn't need it.
But they still go for it, though.
That's what I mean. The Trues, though, because I don't want to cut them off of the teat too soon. Remember, the Trues made hard decisions bands have not made. When they moved to Niagara
Canadian bands.
Falls from Halifax, to what I think is the weakest scene in the country, I'm from there.
I had them play every Tuesday in the Whippet Lounge for a year and a half, and it was called Tuesday.
And what did they do? They said amongst themselves, when they parachuted from a healthy music scene to an impoverished music scene, they told themselves one rule. We have one rule of this band. Do you guys know what it is? Nobody gets a fucking job. Nobody gets a fucking job. If you want that cup of coffee, you make it through music. I don't fucking care how you do it. You want that craft dinner, you want that hot pot, you want that TV, you want that effect pedal. Sorry, I'm pointing at you when I say
Hot
effect
pocket.
pedal. You don't take a fucking job. If you take a retail job, if you take a bank job, if you take a General Motors job, you're out of this band. Bands don't make that kind of
Those
commitment.
Factor coffees are tasting.
Well, now they're tasting good. Now they are. But most bands that are coming crying for support didn't move out of their hometown, didn't move into a shittier market, and didn't make that commitment to starve themselves and put music first.
That's
and
fair.
until they do, I won't give them I won't shed them a tear.
Okay, I understand where you're coming from, Joel, and I can completely agree. Working bands, I think, deserve, the benefits that we have available to us. I think the point of the article was that this particular band was awarded, subsequent awards again and again. And
Well,
again.
that's the truth of the corruption
To the
of it,
tune
yeah.
of, what was it, $800-something
Yeah, it was
thousand
a lot.
dollars?
Yeah, it was like $100,000.
Yeah.
It's going to paying the roadies and everything, which is totally cool, but
agents and managers and everything involved.
Man, I want to get paid $800,000 as a roadie.
No, I totally what you're saying. I'm saying that there is a point where we have to help these bands, but there's also a point where we have to say you guys are healthy, and now we have to help.
And that was the point of the article.
Right. Now we have to help the cancer
Right.
bats. Now we have to help whoever else it is.
Right.
in the
That's
chain.
the funniest criteria to me for factor grants is that you need to have sold 2,000, minimum of 2,000 copies
Yeah.
before you can even be eligible for a grant. Mind you, there are bands that get it because of, the
Part of that is
that
that
always.
they
but-
want you to have to work.
Yeah, I understand that. But when you actually read the description of what factor is supposed to stand by
Yeah.
and contribute to, it's just kind of offsetting.
and the sad thing is, it's like you're not selling. You're not selling 2,000 units at your show. It has to be through a certain.
No.
Distributor, yeah.
No.
It's
It can be
You
from your
can't
show as
account
long
for
as
sales at your show, right?
you're tracking it via
Yeah.
SoundScan.
That's it.
Okay.
It's got to
And
be
who
tracked
does
via
that?
SoundScan.
You can. It doesn't have to be a label. You can set up SoundScan by yourself.
Totally, just like you can set up
individually,
SoCan by
like you do it with
yourself.
SoCan. You register. You have to register your piece of work, and then every show you have to, within 48 hours, fax them in
That's right.
a piece of paper that has your sales marked down from the date with the promoter's signature.
Again, I'm with Justin. Who does that?
The unfortunate
But that
thing is,
doesn't mean
I see it every day.
I know, but
I sign those things.
your
every
band is
fucking
going to
day.
be the band that hits like 1,999,000 sales, and you're like, I'm going to hit it, and then someone's like, have you been submitting the paperwork for those?
If
And
bands
you're
won't
gonna
help
be like,
themselves,
oh.
fuck
No,
them.
but I
If
mean,
bands won't help
there's also
themselves,
ways that
fuck
you can
them.
retrospect that. I mean, if you say you had you did an initial pressing of your record that's 1,000 copies, you have that receipt, and then you produced more. That's basically showing, because Baptized ended up getting some money this way, because we sold that amount of records.
And the fact that you had to get more obviously
Means that you-
got
yes.
rid of.
Yeah.
Got rid of the. Yeah.
I agree with Justin. Sorry, Brandon. That the notion that it's easy to register music with SoCan. It's easy to register music with SoundCan. It's easy. It
It's
takes
just a lot of people just don't know about it.
But SoCan is the only.
No, I
agency
think
we have.
everybody knows about SoCan.
But you'd be surprised at how many
Oh, no,
bands you meet
yeah.
coast to coast that is like, no, we haven't done it.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Well, that's
guys,
just
do you-
Whether or not they've done it is,
I will,
what's in question. Whether or not they know
I'll point
about
this
it.
out, like, and I've seen this. I don't. It was,
Everybody
in some,
knows.
it was in some other city. It was just this really cool seminar that like people like you and Edie and everybody set up this free thing to go in there, teaches kids that if you're starting out, this is where you need to go, because there's not. It's almost like you're gonna get screwed out of it because you don't know it until the point you get to that point to get it. Like if people were learning it earlier on,
Yeah, you totally
then the
need
big
someone to
guys
tell you.
wouldn't be the ones easily getting it because they know what they need to do.
It's-
The criteria to me.
It's funny to me because I get this brought up all the time, and it was brought up numerous times. Well, not numerous times, but at least 4 times at the JRMA seminars the other day when I was sick. But it's people who are like, nobody ever wants to give away the workings of the music industry or their secrets. They hold them to themselves as if to, not share with the world so that they can be better than everyone. And I'm like, no, that's not the case.
That's not true at all.
Everything's out there.
Yep.
You just need to ask.
You
and
need
half
to
of
do
you
your
guys
homework.
Just
Exactly.
Take care of your own career. If there's one thing the digital age can teach us, is that you have the capacity to be the curator and distributor of your own content. So if you're not going to bother to find the address of the only objective organization in this country, and the biggest component of the music industry is SoCan. They're the largest music company in this country now. And they're working on your behalf for free.
Right, we posted up on our Facebook page one of the earlier podcasts that we'd done. I believe it was back in November. We had James Leacock, who's a rep for them, formerly of Zool's Evil Disco, and spent some time with a number of us in this room here. I'd come in and really imparted to us a lot of the specifics and a lot of the benefits that are available to artists through SoCan. So I'd encourage you to go and check that out. It's a very informative podcast. We also had Ryan Valderon from Fresh FM here in London. So kind of gave his perspective from the radio station. And it was great. I think I encourage you to check it out. So my next question is for Dan. How's the candy, buddy?
It's good. It's gone. I ate it all.
It's stuck in my teeth. It's,
We got some sour keys here and some Skittles.
Skittles
That's how
for
we
legend.
roll here on the London Indie Underground. So we're going to get to some more music here. Joel, I'm going to feature a song that you brought to us just because I love this song so much.
Oh, I haven't. Let me see if I got some concert data for you before you give all the tricks away. And I don't. Somewhere in Saskatchewan on Friday, man.
Right. So if you happen to live
You're in Saskatchewan
So
somewhere.
okay, well, hold on. What is it? If you happen to be in Saskatchewan, what are you? Like if you're in Ontario,
If you're in
Ontarian.
Saskatoon, if you're a prairie
prairie
dog.
dog.
You're a
Oh,
prairie
that's
dog.
Prairie dog.
So like if you're from London, are you a Londonian?
Londonite?
Londoner?
Londoner.
A Londoner?
Londoner.
Oh, what are you if you're like Saskatoon?
Saskatchewan?
Saskatoonian?
Yes, yeah, I like that.
Sasquatch?
You're a
Sasquatch.
Sa-
Yeah, Sam
So if
Squatch.
I don't know.
You're-
You're pretty fucking boring. That's not.
Oh, they got a. You know what? They got a great country bluegrass scene out there. It's
Yeah.
Mike Plume, Benny Wilson, who we know from Strange Bargain and other projects around here, plays with Mike Plume, and he'll tell you personally. He'll tell you himself. Saskatoon is his favorite place in the country to perform.
Right on. Well, if you happen to be a Sam Squanch, you want to go and check out this next band. This is George Leach with "Carry Me" on the London Indie Underground.
What's wrong with you, man? Get the other record. Damn. You're listening to London Indie Underground. Yeah. Shackles on my feet. I deny everything I see. Strip away the things you say, and you're left with what you do. I'm too scared to walk alone, and I feel far from home. If I fall, will you carry me, carry me, carry me? Am I sinking in the sea of what I've come to be? If I drown, will you carry me, carry me, carry me? Holding on when I should let go. Sermon song on the radio. Strip away the things you say, and you're left with what you do. I'm too scared to walk alone, and I feel far from home. If I fall, will you carry me, carry me, carry me? Am I sinking in the sea of what I've come to be? If I drown, will you carry me, carry me, carry me? I'm too scared to walk alone, and I feel far from home. If I fall, will you carry me, carry me, carry me? Am I sinking in the sea of what I've come to be? If I drown, will you carry me, carry me, carry me?
George Leach, "Carry Me" here on the London Indie Underground. I love that song, Joel. Thanks for bringing that to us.
Oh,
Yeah,
don't thank
that's
me.
sweet.
Thank George Leach. I didn't
No,
do
it's
shit.
great artist, indie artists you may not be familiar with, but it's certainly out there. And like I said, in Saskatoon.
I'm
Go and check-
desperate to get him with Broadback. I'm just desperate to get these two guys together.
Dan's been doing a lot of country lately.
I know.
And he said so much
Not
so
this
that
one.
he's had
But
to
yes, this one.
he's had to teach himself how to play country guitar. And he's loving it.
He's got a lot of beautiful Telecasters that would be just the
Yeah.
right weapon to fight that fight.
Also joining us here in the booth, Mr. Jason Rhoda from J. Rhoda Photography. You may have seen on the previous slide there, one of the sponsors, and was the main photographer for the Jack Richardson Music Awards. We posted up the pictures, or at least he's copied the links over from his page. So if you'd like to check out this previous weekend's events, Jay was documenting it. Did a great job, I think, man. Photos
job.
look
I thought you did
awesome.
great.
How pale do
Yeah,
I look?
What?
How pale do I look?
I played with the colors. I made you look fairly healthy.
Less green.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Healthy. Must have really edited those photos.
It's a photo of not even me.
So, Edie, have you prepared a rant for us today? Do you have something?
I thought I did. Now I just blanked out because we've been in some serious talks all night.
Right.
You've been ranting.
I'm
the
not
whole time.
normally. Yeah.
Yes,
I'm
there's
not
no
normally
lack of
honest,
rants.
yeah.
Okay, well, let's continue
Well,
on this
we'll keep it.
discussion because we have to appreciate that, maybe we have some new listeners that came out of this weekend inspired. The seminars that I was a part of in the afternoon and that Edie was as well was to give, emerging artists some tips on what are the next steps in managing their career. And there was a great assortment there. There was some people that were, aspiring songwriters. There was one young lady that was there. I think her name was Katie Carswell,
Yep.
who won the youth competition award. A 16-year-old with a 30-year-old voice. It was incredible. And at the same time, you had these young bands that, coming out of nowhere with some huge talent. And I think the sample that we had, at least 11 tracks that were submitted for us to listen to as part of the morning critique panel, was great. So our thing in the afternoon was, okay, well, let's give these kids or some people some advice on what are the next steps for them and what can they do, to not only to take advantage of their scene and the benefits that are available to them, but what they can do to support the scene. And I know this is an ongoing discussion as part of this podcast, which I felt was a great point of pride for me to be able to go and be part of that seminar because it was right in my wheelhouse, if you will, particularly with all the people that we've had on and all the insights that I've gained through this. But I kind of wanted to throw it to you guys, and we've got obviously a promoter here, another promoter, a musician in your own right, and obviously you two kind of represent that musician demographic. And Joel, you had been there, signed a record deal and whatnot. So, what are in our market? There's no question. There's a number of things that we need, whether it's entry-level venues for those young aspiring kids. We're finding people that are popping up with alternatives and so on and so forth. But, what's some advice that we should be giving to these new listeners that are tuning in for the first time?
Go to shows.
Go to them, yeah.
Support the scene that you want to be a part of. It's
Yeah.
like Edie will test for this. I even have band members that I've been in bands with, but if you want to go to a show and you want to play a show and play with great bands, be there supporting the opening acts. We're an opening act, you're an opening act, they're opening acts, or they were at one point.
Yep.
Show your face up. Like, how are you going to meet people?
Yeah, don't show up at 11 o'clock for the headliner and then cry about
Where
not knowing
were
your
you
show
all
is
night?
out
Like,
there, yeah.
I've no matter what.
Pre-drinking.
That's
what they
that's
were.
my biggest.
No matter what, I always watch bands, and I've been part of bands and had other members be like, we're just gonna show up right before we play, and I was like, but you realize we're an opening act today or the next show. I'm like, how do you expect people to want to watch us if we're not doing the same thing for them? Like,
Yep.
reciprocate it.
Of course.
That's a
And
great message.
it's horrible. Like, people are very horrible about that. They I know it's expensive to drink at a bar, but
Don't
it's very
drink.
it's very appreciative
So don't
when
drink.
there's people watching the opening acts.
What if we had shows that were a little bit earlier in the evening?
I do them.
Well, I know you do.
Doesn't
but
help.
No?
No, people
No, because there's
literally just wait.
I
till the end.
gauge the time of shows depending on what type of music it is and what the crowd's going to be like. So for the the more younger quote unquote emo metal whatever, I don't know what to categorize it as. I mean, those are all early doors because a lot of it's the younger kids or even like the 20-year-olds. So they'll want to come out, they'll hang out, watch a show, and then go to a bar. The older people, well, our friends,
Yep.
and you
Midnight.
do a show at 9 o'clock, and the opening band starts at 9:30, and it could be even one of their friends that they want to support, and they'll show up at 11:30 because they're all pre-drinking.
I find you need to be good at white lies. Like, I play in a band and I promote. It's like I know I'm on at 10.
you
My
say
friends,
the other
my
night.
friends don't need to know that I'm on at 10. I'm on at 9:15, 9:30. They come out. It's like if you tell them I'm on at 10, they're literally walking in the door at 10.
I play
ca-
with Paul Demansky.
They catch on, though. They catch on.
Upset.
They catch on, but you throw them for a loop, you know, like
I have to lie to my own drummer about when we play because he's late. For
you want
fucking
them to show up early, but who cares? Like it works, you know what I mean? Like tell people you're on early.
But that's not the problem. Like lying to people
I was
doesn't reveal that they're part of a problem.
It
It doesn't
doesn't.
really. It lets them cop out of responsibility for not supporting a scene and then showing up at a focus group and saying, "How come there's no scene?" Like you
Can
can't
I
just
say-
do
I just
that.
want to say
You
the
gotta be
one
honest
thing.
with them.
You said tell people to show up early. Here's better advice, and not to you, but in general,
Show up.
tell people. Period.
Yeah.
I don't understand. No, and you know I've said this before, and it really boggles my mind. So you're a local band of 5 members, and I mean it's not bad when you can only bring out 5 people, but I don't understand it. And I mean it doesn't look good on your band necessarily. You could be the greatest band in the world, but if you bring out 5 people, like we discussed at the panel, I mean, a lot of bands aren't gonna catch on. People there aren't gonna catch on, and promoters aren't gonna catch on because ultimately, if we're losing money on you, then we're not going to take another shot at it. But what I don't understand is a 5-member band based out of London, say London, in London. If you can't bring out 25 people, if you each individually do not have 5 friends that would come support your band, there's
Maybe you're not
an
any
issue
good.
there.
I completely agree with Edie. Like, it's just, and I promote on a lot smaller level and a lot less shows, but I do promote shows. And I have bands that really want more shows, and they're like, can we play this? And I'm friends with all the band members on the internet, and I don't see them posting. They just post like the day of the event, and one of them, or one through their band page. And like I said, there's 5 of you in the band, 5 people should be promoting. I've been in the same thing where even my band and people in my band are like, well, you're the guy that everybody knows. Like, we share a lot of the same friends. Why would I repost
But that's how
it?
you.
Advertising, there's the same ad 10 times going down the highway. If the more times you see it, the more likely you're going to go
And
see
especially
it.
when, like, I get in crap all the time for local events when I don't put up posters. What is the reason being that I don't for a lot of local events is I can spend $200 on posters and advertising.
Or I can pay you.
But if people don't, people who don't know who you are, all that's doing is wasting money from
Yeah,
our show.
exactly.
That you could have been made. You don't do it. You don't promote it for the promoter. I mean, you promote it for your band.
Yourself. If you
I don't
won't
understand
promote
how
your
you-
own show, what do you think's going to happen to you if you sign a major? Do you really think that when RCA is being merged with J Records on mandate of the parent company BMG, that they're thinking about your shitty band? They're thinking about their fucking kid and their job, and if they have one tomorrow, and the last thing they're thinking about is if you emailed your friends to say, come see us play. We didn't bring a single soul from the Troubadour in Los Angeles to where we ended up at the Exit Inn in Nashville, Tennessee, after driving around America twice with Fu Manchu. And I can promise you, as a Canadian band that had never been in the U.S. market, no one came to see us, and their fans fucking hated us every
I
night.
just feel like
So even
I'm
when
not
you
even
get there,
talking to that.
you won't be
perspective,
there. I'm saying, like, if you won't pull the rope in your town before you're any good, you can't ask people to do it for
No,
you.
I completely agree. If you can't do the favor of trying to bring out your friends to see this band, when you leave your city, how's that
How
gonna
do you
be,
think it's going to work for
how's
you?
that's going to be returned? The local band that's chosen to play for you, open for you, is not going to bring out people.
How do you
too.
think it's going to work for you?
Let me pose this question to you. Do you think a cover charge is a deterrent from people to go out and see a show?
No.
No.
I don't.
Depends.
I mean,
Depends
it
how high it
depends.
is.
That
It depends
depends.
how
That
high
depends
for the
on
caliber.
demographic.
I don't want to say the caliber of the show, not in terms of talent, but in terms of quote unquote size of the band. I mean, it's really hard to do a show with no cover and the bands get paid. I mean, especially when you're not bringing anybody out.
There has to be a lot of liquor consumed at a
mean,
bar
that's-
with a nice owner to
Exactly.
share
Nailed
that
it.
profit
Nailed
share
it.
at the
I
end of
mean,
the night.
There has to be an honesty and a connection of trust between the ownership. and
doesn't
You
happen
either
anymore.
charge a cover charge, or the bands, if it's a bar band, or not a bar, sorry, but a band playing a bar, they will generally get 15% of bar sales, spread out amongst every act playing. So, I mean, do the math. You bring in 100 people at $5, that's $500. Mind you, you'll probably have to pay like 100 for sound and some other stuff. You'll still take away 400, but you do 100 people at free, and you do 2,500 in bar sales, you get the same.
Right. My thought process is this: if that $5 cover charge is the deterrent from people coming out, right? we're talking about cutting our teeth.
Yep.
Right? Not necessarily to the established bands, right?
Absolutely.
So if they have the ability to go off a bar percentage.
Absolutely.
We've all worked. I think it's fair to say everybody here has probably played for beer.
Oh, God, I do it
But
tomorrow.
Paid to play.
What
at
you
some
do,
point,
man. I
you know?
mean, you're in this to build your band and to do something you love. I mean,
Or whatever.
you can't expect to
Off a $5
make a
cover
shit-
charge, you shouldn't, as in a local band, you shouldn't expect to be getting any of that $5.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
$5.
You know, again, I saw a lot of artists the last few days, and I never paid a cover. And I'll say that one thing that was unique about it and how they were able to fill the room was that these were oftentimes assemblies of musicians that were 17 to 70 years old on stage at the same time. And when you break down the walls of your vanity and your audience, and he's too old to play with me and I'm too young to play with him, what you find is that you attract a wider
Generation
demographic.
gap,
You have
yeah.
more people in the fucking crowd, and old people drink more than young people, believe it or not. They have more money in their pocket. So to me, it's not a question of whether or not there's a $5 cover. Every consumer has X dollars to spend when they walk in the door, and they will spend it all if they have a good time.
Now, my next question, and then we're going to go to some music here. So, our scene is pretty fragmented. You have the metal people that maybe will only go to the metal shows, and the punk people that will only go to the punk shows to a degree. You know, I know.
I mean, I know a lot of people.
It's bad.
We used to play
Right.
those metal shows.
Scenesters
Right.
are scenesters.
So
all
how,
Brandon.
so how do we become less fragmented?
This is what I used to do when I had the venue, like
Cross-
the Embassy or the Soul Lounge.
Yeah.
I did cross bills.
Yeah.
And people will be like, I don't understand this. Like, how do you have a ska or reggae band going after, like, a death metal band? It's like, well, they're friends with each other.
Yeah, so
and they respect what they're doing.
So good
So
enough.
it makes sense. You culminate, I mean,
That's true.
you put in two different crowds. Say each band brings out 150 people. You have 300 people in a venue for that band. The 150 metal kids had probably never heard Stalefish before. But I guarantee you, 75% of them probably appreciate it and will then latch on to them.
Totally. It's like Zeppelin fans
And that's
hadn't
how-
heard Robert Johnson, but they're playing the same song.
There's, I just find it hard. Like trying to do a show, it's like the venue. It's like you got to try to make it work, and it's like I feel people don't want to take the risks anymore of trying a show like that because if like you're not established doing a show and it epically fails, you're like you blame it on the fact that you did like that. Like the Wick. Like you could set up anything. The Wick was the same thing. Like everything. You'd have a blues band, a punk band, an acoustic act, and a metal band. And it was like you walked into the Wick and that's what you got for like $5 or free sometimes.
Or free,
Right.
All the time. The Wick was just like that. The Embassy was like that.
What if it was a by donation show? Pay what
yeah,
you
your last
There's a
one.
lot of that.
He's
in
done
Toronto
one. I mean,
now.
we do
There's
a lot of that
in
stuff.
Toronto.
It works out well.
It's mixed. It
It
depends.
depends,
I mean,
yeah.
it really depends. And again, it's if you are not going to promote your show, no matter your format at the door, it's going to be irrelevant.
And don't rely on, we should make it clear, I think maybe people rely too much on social media to
Yeah,
promote their
absolutely.
shows, and social media, certainly has
It's good.
merits and is going to be able to create some
Word
awareness.
of mouth. Text your fucking friends.
Yeah.
Get in
much
their
as-
face.
I don't know. As much as people rely on it, some people don't take advantage of it as
No,
much.
it's,
as
That's true.
We've
That's
discussed
true.
this. I
There's
mean,
people that don't know
certainly.
how to use it
It's
properly.
one channel.
Correct.
They use it, but in the
They
wrong
just
way.
spam everybody, right?
Yep.
Kind of like what we do.
And then those are their
I'm
their
just
friends
kidding, I'm
just
just
ignore
kidding.
them on Facebook or delete them.
That's true. That's true.
Be creative. Just
Well,
like
I mean-
be creative about
okay,
it.
to me, $5. $5 to get you in to see 5 bands,
That's a
which
beer.
is 5 hours. That is less than a Big Mac combo.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree.
St.
All
Patrick's
I'm
Day made me
merely
wanna
doing,
cry.
I'm just
So cheap.
spitballing.
Oh, no,
here.
no, no. And I'm just saying, like, I don't understand it. I can't remember who the artist was, but they were comparing the fact that their songs are being sold at 99 cents on iTunes after they put in, how much times, whatever.
There's enlightened promoters out there. There's guys that get it.
Yeah.
And you're probably one of them. But I remember, being at the Reverb before it was closed. And if you had the right relationship, they understood that a young band that at least had proved that it was trying.
Oh,
was an
absolutely.
investment.
Yeah.
And not a thing to be taxed. You understand that because I've talked to you enough.
I lose money on bands that I love trying to build them
Right.
on a
So then
regular,
5 years
consistent
later-
basis because it's an investment.
Exactly.
It's not. It's an investment for them.
Once they
and
start
it's
drawing,
also
you know
an
it'll
it's
pay
also
back,
an
yeah.
investment for me.
Exactly.
I'm not in I'm not in this business to make money. Yes, it's my job. I'm not looking to be rich, but I'm in the business of not losing money.
You're looking to sustain yourself. If
Yeah.
you lose money here, you gain it back there, and that's 3 years later
scene-
that you've built that band, and now you're breaking even off
If
it.
we
at
all
least.
worry about taking a slice, there'll be no pie to eat. But
Exactly.
if we all decide that we can bake a great big pie, holy cow!
I'm hungry.
Holy cow!
I'll put it this way: too many I know there's too many young bands out there that think the promoter is the promoter. They don't think the band has anything to do with promotion. And I see people write that and talk about that.
It's
and I'm like,
so
a
wrong.
promoter,
Well,
it's
wait
not.
until they get a product
they,
manager.
They think it's. So many young kids think 100% of the promotion of a show is up to the promoter. Like, it's not up to the band. It's like, we write the songs. That's all we do. I'm like, no, you're not at that point that you just
luck
write
with
the
that.
songs and you play.
Let alone are your
You
songs
work
any
to
good?
get to that point to, like, maybe get.
Could you really
like,
take a day
it's
off
the whole
after
thing that
writing that
we've
song?
discussed this for 28 weeks now about bands paying their dues, and how a lot of them, they're just.
You're big in your
I
high
don't know.
school, but as soon as you leave
I
that,
get
you're
it.
not
I get it.
anymore.
I have to go under the assumption that we're gaining a lot of new listeners, rather.
course.
And a couple of weeks ago, we peaked out of 505 people that tuned into this
Amazing.
podcast, which is crazy. And I'm assuming that obviously it's a niche market that is going to be tuning in and listening to us, whether
I
it's
know, you're
musicians,
absolutely right.
friends of musicians, whatnot, and are people that perhaps are motivated and people that are looking to support the scene, right? By supporting us, tuning in, sharing it, whatever the case may
Right.
be, right?
That's
So I
what's
want to
up.
be able to give some insights and some.
I'll
some
put this random
perspective.
thing out there.
Yeah.
Doing the basement shows, I had a few bands questionable of whether I liked them or my friends liked them, and my friends were like, "Why did you put that band on the show?" And I was like, "Because they bring friends. They bring out 20 kids.
Because they'd come and they're
I'm like,
reliable. They show
this
up on
really
time
good
and they
band
play.
that you said put on brings out 5 kids. This band that you think sucks brings out 20 kids." And I'm
Yeah.
like, that's 20 kids is great,
That's
and
part of it.
their friends are having fun watching them. People just
It's
they
all
feed
relative.
off of it.
It's all relative. I remember being a kid and my parents listening to my music and saying, "How can you listen to that crap? It absolutely sucks." Right? Meanwhile, it was Nirvana, and little did they know that they were going to become the biggest band in the world, or
Yep.
one up. You know what I mean? So
London's funny. It's like
Yeah.
it's almost like the worst talent brings out the most kids. But I'm like, whatever. I'm like,
No, it's not the worst
embrace
talent.
them.
They're the hardest working.
But,
Yeah,
but in the
yeah.
long run,
they just need to develop.
in
is
the
what
long
he
run,
says. 2
have
years
something
later,
to
they're
say.
really.
Have something to say. Like, if there's one thing I could tell a band, have something to say. In the long run, getting by on your trite, silly message will create a song that you'll be embarrassed about in 5 years. If you have something to say at every stage of your career, when Living Colour comes out after 25 years and tours Vivid, those songs are more relevant today than they were before.
They'll blow everybody
And
off.
it's not because they were ahead of their time. It's because we were behind theirs. So have something to say, and you will be relevant. Be relevant. Breakup songs are not relevant. Everyone breaks up. Be relevant,
I
man.
kind of disagree, man.
I think artists need to be
That's
responsible
that's
before I'll call
subjective,
them
man.
artists. I think if you want to be a musician, that's great. If you
I
want to
don't
be
think-
derivative, that's great.
I don't think
you
people
want
are
to be an
going to break
artist.
up in 5 years from now.
Everyone's
an
getting
artist?
married. First date,
man,
married.
I'll tell you this.
Baby.
When,
Making
in the
friends.
last, what were the songs about Afghanistan that weren't prompted by some Save the Troops no-brainer compilation? What was the song about saying Canada shouldn't go to Iraq? Who met the Cree Walkers on Capitol Hill? Who wrote a song for Teresa Spence? Who wrote a song for Raymond Robinson? Who got behind the Idle No More movement? Who wrote a song about the LIBOR scandal, the financial scandal, the real estate scandal? The artists have fucking abandoned us with their breakup songs. We don't need breakup songs. We need people to put these issues into context for young people so they can be mad.
yes, but the argument there
I can
is
tell you
that-
one band that wrote songs about all of those things.
Wicked, and I wish they were
Propaganda.
on
Yeah.
then why weren't they at the
Chris
steps of
Hanna
the
is
Capitol,
God.
making sure I heard it?
Oh,
and
I guarantee
CBC
you they
Music couldn't turn them
probably
off.
were.
I don't remember seeing them, man.
I think
I'm not saying the bands aren't out there. I'm saying it's only out there when they want to sell T-shirts at Occupy. That's all I see.
I agree with you, Joe. I think just
man,
everybody can relate with a broken heart, and everybody can relate with a breakup, which is
Relate with a
See, I
broken
don't
country,
even think it's
and then
about-
worry about your broken heart later.
well,
I always said this: write what you know. If I'm a heartless romantic, I'm not gonna go write a political song that I don't know shit all about.
What if
I'm
you're
not
an
saying you
instrumental
have to.
band, though? What do you write?
yeah.
Fine, I don't care. I don't care. I'm
other
saying
people-
represent something.
Oh, no,
Yes,
yeah.
but
I'm
there's a
saying
lot of
show
folk-
up and play jazz for the Cree Walkers when they walk
Okay.
2,000 kilometers to meet nobody.
And you make a great point, because we have the what is it, the folk festival that we do here, the Home County Folk Festival, and folk music has traditionally been people that have
Revolutionary.
yeah, that
That's what I'm
take up
saying.
arms
Where
and
are
write
we?
songs about that, right?
We're
And-
blaming the PMO. We're blaming everyone.
that
Where are
may
we?
not necessarily represent the youth movement, though. Right?
Anyone. I don't care what genre. I don't care how old you are. I don't care if you're 65 or you're 16. Where have we been through all of these issues? And when a bomb goes off in Boston, if the wrong person took credit for it, we'd be at war in the morning. And I wouldn't expect a single band to be on the steps saying, don't go. Because I didn't see it last time. I didn't see one.
Fair. Great.
Yeah, they made records. but I didn't see him.
Great discussion, guys. Great discussion. I got to kind of pull it back in.
Yeah,
for
yeah,
a
of
minute.
course.
I want to get to some more music. Just a couple of things to note. Earlier, we were talking about the musician that was from the West Coast, or it was an agent, rather. His name was Paul Lawton. And the article was called Slagging Off. It's available right now. And he speaks about his frustrations in the music industry, particularly with dealing with acquiring factor grants. So I encourage you to take a look at it. Take it with a grain of salt, perhaps, because
sure.
when people take to social media, sometimes it's a little heated and maybe a bit one-sided, but still informative in the sense that you get that perspective that you don't often see posted.
It opens people's eyes.
It
at least.
certainly. And I wanted to throw to Gary for a second to see if there was any comments or any questions that had come
You've been
through the
awfully
feed.
quiet.
He certainly
You know,
has.
because I'm not from the scene as much, like you guys all have the
That's
more
bullshit.
No, seriously. I'm new to this.
You
Like,
just played a show.
for this scene.
hiding in Oshawa.
My thoughts are more like, because like I'm an older guy than like, Joel and I were probably stomping the same scenes kind of deal.
Yeah.
But when I was playing the clubs, and this was like before I got into the punk and I was doing metal,
In what band?
I played in a band called Leftovers when I was younger.
And then what other band?
Lame,
And then what other band?
Trigger Happy.
The Almighty Fucking Trigger.
Yeah, the almighty
No,
fucking
but-
Trigger. But when I played in Leftovers, we always played, like, we played the Gasworks, we played Rock and Roll Heaven, and we played all that. There was always a cover. And it was like the whole thing about we get in the discussion, do you give your music away now or do you not? And when it comes down, this is just my opinion, as we always know, mine's always a little off kilter, but when we start giving everything away for free, when there's no cover charge, when there is you're not paying for your music, you're getting it for free, you devalue the craft.
Hallelujah.
So basically, if I'm not paying, when I used to play gigs, nobody knew who we were. Like
Hallelujah.
it didn't matter if and Leftovers had some small minor success, whatever. But when we played, nobody knew who we were. But we still got it was still a $5 cover charge to play shows, and people still played it. And it goes the same now. It's a free cover. Like I just played those shows a little while ago. There was no cover charge for them. Not a lot of people showed up, and it was free.
Mm-hmm.
I got paid because the bar is a great bar.
Yeah, bus fare is not the barrier.
Yeah, exactly. But when we give everything away, we devalue it.
Right.
And if people aren't willing to pay $5, $10 to go see 5 bands, what's the average bill now, Brandon? Like 5 bands, maybe, like for young bands.
4 or 5.
So let's go $5, $10. You're talking like, so it's a $5 cover for 5 bands. You're paying $1.
$1 band.
$1 to see a fucking band.
Pay
St.
99
Patrick's
cents
Day
a
was a
track.
perfect example.
Yeah, and you're sitting there, and like the rant on Facebook or Twitter was, you'd rather pay 99 cents to get a fucking fart app on your cell phone.
$2.99.
Yeah, which is just the greatest thing in the world, and all you're doing is you're making some fucking jackass a lot of money, who basically who recorded somebody else's a fart sound, whereas it's a
They're probably
craft.
Matt Grady's.
I make fart sounds every day and nobody pays me.
Exactly.
So
Yeah, you
where's my 5 million
and mine
downloads?
comes with the bonus of a horrendous scent.
I agree with you,
But-
but I don't need to hear a new breakup song when Since I've Been Loving You is still better than that.
No, but still, but
Quit living
even
in the past.
I'll
man.
live
But
in it every goddamn
yeah.
day until you fix the future.
But even if it's a breakup song, or even if it's anything, we were just discussing it earlier. How is anybody going to get past these certain things? Like, yeah, Taylor Swift can write a million breakup songs, but that's because now she's being
They're all
paid.
fucking good.
Yeah, but it's because
I disagree.
she's being paid to write this, and she
Yes.
knows she knows it's her
She's
money
being
shot.
rewarded at the end of the road.
Exactly, but then we can
as highly as possible.
But then
to
we
make
can
the
get-
most unsophisticated product.
Right. But at the same time, then you go to the other opposite. There's always going to be somebody who loves that music, that needs to be depressed and needs to feel that they've been wronged by somebody else. Whereas you can go and listen to Mastodon. You can listen to, one of my favorite bands to this day, still Queensryche. It's intelligent music. And we're always going to have that fraction of music where everybody's going to like something else and it doesn't matter. But the point for me is just the fact that if we're going to give it away, you're going to get nobody coming, because I'm a person that, it's like, let's just think about brand names, okay?
true.
Kids are willing to spend $180 to get a pair of the hottest Nikes out there, but they are not going to buy, like 5-6 years ago, wouldn't pay $20 for a pair of Converse.
Yeah.
But then Cobain wears them, and all of a sudden Converse sneakers are now $65 to get a pair, and everybody's clamoring for them.
If you sold Coach purses for $1, every girl would buy Gucci.
Exactly. So if it's free, you don't want it.
Well, I'm going to
In my
address
opinion.
one of your comments here.
Yeah,
So,
please.
my band, Two Crown King, the first EP that we did, and I got to tell you, I wasn't in the band at the
Right,
time,
yeah.
so I can't speak from direct experience, but what I can tell you is that it was a pretty sizable project rather.
Yeah.
They went to an expensive recording studio. They put the time and the money in, and got a producer that, really worked with them, and ended up giving the product away, at least in the initial offering.
Yeah.
Through the website.
But
Where-
it's half and half.
half and half. So people could go to the website, and although
Right.
they didn't necessarily, put it out there like, download it for free, there certainly was a bit of that,
Right.
but that wasn't what was pumped.
Right.
So if people happen to go to the website, you could click on the lion, boom, you could download the EP.
Right.
However, CDs were available at every show, vinyl.
Yep.
Merch booth was always busy, and
Yep.
people were always over there and buying music.
We also gave it away at shows too. We
Yeah.
also had the download card at the show.
Exactly. So I'm inclined to think now, this I think personally is going to be the strength on the product itself. So if you're giving away something that's shit, it's shit.
Yep.
Okay, and I don't mean any disrespect by that. It just is what it is.
No, it is.
But if you're giving away something that's solid, because your initial offering is you want to get out there, get a bit of a buzz,
Right.
say here's some free music, and then you build some anticipation for your next release.
Right.
If you don't break up because you ran out of money in between, like,
Right.
there's a lot of factors here.
Yeah.
I wish it was this simple, but it's not, eh?
But on that note, and just to interject with you,
Of course.
that's also a marketing plan, though.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
That
That's
shows
like, let's-
planning already.
Yeah,
Right.
let's take 3 steps. Let's, as a band, let's make the decision. We're going to give it away to some. We're going to try and sell it as well. Maybe recoup some of the recording costs, but let's try and get it out there so people like us, or are
I've
excited
honestly
about it.
functioned in the last 4 or 5 years of playing of everything's been pay what you can.
Right.
Like, people have the right to put 0 in there, and I encourage them. I was like, if you can't afford this and you're just listening to it, and I know you don't know what it sounds like, here you go. And then
I
you
remember
have
the
the
first
choice
time
to
I
go
saw
back
it,
and put a
blew my
dollar or
mind.
two. And
It's
I'll bring this
incredible,
up. Last week on our and we quickly recorded our demo and threw it up, and Matt Grady and Kyle from EMAC mastered, and it didn't really cost us a lot, but the product is cool. We put it up. We actually made a little bit of money just putting up for Pay What You Can, and I didn't care if people paid 0 for it. But I had a kid last week, and I all of a sudden got the email in my inbox, you've been PayPal'd $50.
Wow.
And I emailed that kid, and I was like, dude, did you make a mistake and meant to put $5 in there? I actually emailed him because I was like, if that was me and I put 50 by mistake, how am I going to get my money back? I was like, did you mean to put 5? And he's like, no, I wanted to give you guys $50 for this a 6-song EP,
Yeah.
demo
That's
EP. And I was like, cool, dude, that's so cool. He's like, just keep it. And I was like, you meant to. And I was like, I'll send you a shirt. And he was like, oh, that's awesome. He didn't want the shirt, but I'm like, I'm going to send him a shirt.
Right. But again, that comes down to the whole thing. It's, again, you're still saying, pay us what you believe, what you
It has
think.
value.
It still has value. You're going to have some people that are just, excuse my term for those who do it, there's going to be dicks who just say it's free, give it to me, whatever. There's also going to be people that, like with the Radiohead album, when they first
Yeah.
did the Pay
They
What You
can
Can.
afford to do that.
But
though.
they admitted afterwards it was a marketing ploy.
They're
There's
millionaires.
But-
They can
but-
afford to give it away.
But in my opinion, every move you make in music, every decision you make going forward is marketing.
It is marketing, but I think Pay What You Can is like an actual movement, and it's like, are you really Pay What You Can or are you not? And I think Radiohead used it to get the publicity, like,
Radiohead
to
had
be
sold 50
cool,
million
to be hip,
albums
to do
when
it, and then
did
they
that.
came back and they're like, we knew like we'd get a much attention out of this. It's
Yeah.
like, if you're Pay
I
What You
think-
Can, be Pay What You Can, be like that movement, like.
On the Two Crown King side, I mean, Broadbeck said it here a month ago. If there's one thing Two Crown King has done better than any other band here is have a marketing plan. Sorry, Stalefish. But I mean, Two Crown King, if
has the
I don't
award?
care what
Who
you
has
want to
the
say
award?
about
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, Two Crown
got
King
it
was
last
there
year.
before, so we
Award.
couldn't win it this year. Hey, yo, speaking of Two Crown King, can I interrupt?
Yeah, play a song.
I think we should get to some new music,
please,
okay?
man. Please,
And I'd like to, certainly...
Play
this-
Zezel.
no, I'm not playing Zezel.
You got a new tune.
No.
Oh my God.
No. So listen, we do have a new album that was dropped, the new Two Crown King rather. It's called 1604. It's available right now exclusively through iTunes. However, we hopefully will be getting some hard copies done up because I want to have them available for shows. And my favorite track that's on this, and this is the debut. You may not have heard of yet, although some people you might have downloaded the album already. It's a track called "See Run Run."
Oh.
Yeah, by Two Crown King. And this is, but we pause for station identification first.
London Indie Underground. 60% of the time, it works every time. I hang on, when will they all be amassed right in the streets, giving much to many, we're in the now do we walk, do we run, do we roll, do we tiptoe, do we strut? Now do we walk, do we run, do we roll, do we tiptoe, do we strut? So do we walk, do we run, do we roll, do we tiptoe, do we strut? So do we walk, do we run, do we roll, do we tiptoe, do we strut, do we stroll? No need to calm this clinging clatter, pitter patter evermore. Take a break from 9 to 5, it doesn't mind, it holds the door. Keep it full on homestyle living, backyard fixing, church and chores. Or we can ride this train till morning, still not knowing where it stops or what's in. I know this could be part of a past life. Bang on, minimal, already gassed twice. If I hang on, when will they all be amassed right in the streets, giving much to many, we're in the now do we walk, do we run, do we roll, do we tiptoe, do we strut? Now do we walk, do we run, do we roll, do we tiptoe, do we strut? So do we walk, do we run, do we roll, do we tiptoe, do we strut? So do we walk, do we run, do we roll, do we tiptoe, do we strut, do we stroll? Now do we walk, do we run, do we roll, do we tiptoe, do we strut? Now do we walk, do we run, do we roll, do we tiptoe, do we strut? So do we walk, do we run, do we roll, do we tiptoe, do we strut? So do we walk, do we run, do we roll, do we
I mean, we could talk
Two
about
Crown King with See Run Run here on the London Indie Underground.
Very nice, gentlemen.
Thanks, buddy.
Congratulations.
I really enjoyed that.
How does Benny's happy? Everyone's happy?
Yeah.
Wicked.
Yeah, it turned out really well. We're privileged and honored on my part to work with Ben Kaplan, who recently did the new Biffy Clyro record. He was the head engineer working with Garth Richardson. They were down in California working on that album. And through a connection in the band, Sean Goodchild knows Ben Kaplan pretty well, I guess, dating back to MIA days at
Ben
Fanshawe.
from like out east.
Yeah.
And
Oh, no, out west. Well, he
Out
wasn't
west, yeah.
from out east.
Not Ben Kaplan and the Casual Smokers.
That
no, the Kickstand Travolta Ben Kaplan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Don't know
exactly.
Jack.
Oh, Kickstand Travolta. If you know
Both
what,
Ben Kaplans rule then.
They do.
Kickstand Travolta is some of the best stuff to come out of the era we were in London for. In my,
I have
in
some
my day.
kickstand here, actually.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love
Can I
it.
say something real quick, though?
Yes, you can.
You mentioned Biffy Clyro, and if you people have never ever heard of Biffy Clyro before, do yourself a favor and go check them out. Buy both their records. They just came out with a new double disc called Opposites. They opened for Muse at the ACC 2 nights back to back and stole the show.
Wow.
I would suggest
That's
that they
high
are
praise.
like the Scottish Foo Fighters.
That's what I describe, and I get
Yeah.
shit all the time for it.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of trend-setting Scottish bands,
Yeah, they're like awesome.
average white
poppy,
band, Casino
hard
Halifax
rock.
coming up. Gary's the only guy who remembers.
Dan, I'm
the
not
Average
as
White
cute
Band.
as you, but I stole your spot.
It's all good, man.
That's all I was saying. Check out Biffy Clyro.
Biffy
Also
Clyro.
joining us now is Lauren Deneau. So Lauren, you I met you this past weekend as a result of the Jack Richardson Music Awards, and I know you've been working. You're part of the MIA program,
Yeah.
as well as working with a band that we'll be featuring here on the podcast called
Yeah.
Texas King. And you heard us conversing earlier about alternative venues, and I understand that you've kind of taken up arms, if you will, and have decided to open your backyard too.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, like, I figured, like, a local... Do you want to sit here?
Dan's
Or-
doing the shimmy through the
You're
shot.
looking for a computer bag.
They're over here. Underneath there.
You picked the best time to do that.
Yeah.
Why don't you continue, man?
Quiet.
I don't know,
Interruptions.
like, I just feel like there's a big audience for, like, local music now. So, like, I opened up my backyard And it wasn't just MIA people that showed up. It was like their friends came, and they were willing to pay $5 to see like a unique show in a nice environment. I feel like the environment really helps. Because like we dressed my backyard up and stuff, and it like people like really enjoyed it. And
You
then
live on Wistow Street, right?
Wistow Street,
Yep.
yeah. So like we have a festival kind of going on now. It's kind of like an end of the year festival for our program, but it's the daytime. It's at my house, and then there's a venue that my friend puts on in his basement. It's called the Guest Room, and it's like just his basement, right? But like a ton of people come to it. They love it, and they're willing to pay $5 to get in there. Like if you tell them it's $5 and it's going to be a good show, and you promote it well, they'll show up.
So
for
what
sure.
would be some promotion tips? Obviously, you've spent some time with MIA and learning the business element of it. And with your own personal successes, what would you suggest would be some of the
well,
things?
We went to CMW this year. Like we got the opportunity to do that, and basically tell you have to be authentic. I think that's the biggest part, is you have to be authentic.
That was one of the key points that came up at
Key
the seminars
points.
over the weekend, yeah.
Yeah, people smell bullshit, and they
Oh,
can
yeah,
hear bullshit.
for
You've
sure.
got to be authentic.
Yeah, so it's even if you're like a band and you're walking down the street or something, right, and you see something you like, some sort of like architecture you like, and you post it, 400 people or, you know, maybe even 50 people are like, you know what, I enjoy that. And then they go from looking at your Instagram or whatnot, and then they check out your music. So it's like, be authentic, show people what you like, what you love, and they'll get into like your music because you're being authentic with them. Like you're not.
I agree.
telling them
There's an
bullshit.
aesthetic to everything you do.
Yeah.
No,
And if
yeah.
your music touches what you love,
Yeah.
it's real.
The-
And if it's not, you're a fiction. You're not. You
Yeah.
have no credibility.
All-
And yeah, you're right. Like they smell bullshit. So if you just like come out to my show, I'm having a show, come out to it, come out to it.
Oh, there's no lack
No
of
one goes
content.
to it. Yeah.
We don't need to look very far
Yeah.
to smell something under our nose.
No, for sure. I'll completely agree because people like there's kids that come and go that do basement shows or garage shows that are doing it to be the cool kid in high school or college to do it, and it fades away. It's like they get bored of it after 3 times.
true.
Because you know what? At the end of the day, like I did it at my house for like 2 years. It's a lot of work, and the bands that play, they know because I took nothing from the door. I had stuff break or got stolen.
I lose
I'm the
my
one that has to
time.
wake. They're sleeping over. Yeah, they sleep over at your house, and they see you cleaning up in the morning, and they're like, "You're really
That's
genuine.
actually your
You're
problem."
genuine about
Yeah.
this. Like you
Yeah.
gave us all the money.
Yeah.
You fed us. You let us sleep over, and you're
We
cleaning
left-
up the
we
mess.
left you a
Mm.
problem.
Yeah, we left you a problem, and you're cleaning up. People know that, and they pass it on.
If you want to see proof of that outside of performance and venue ownership, Bob Lefsetz, look no further than the Lefsetz Letter. Like, Bob Lefsetz is an American blogger who started by making handwritten letters about bands in the music scene all around America and would actually mail them to you.
So where is
But
your
Want to
now-
see something cool?
He's
Wistow
a
Street. It's
tastemaker.
off Oxford.
Like what end?
Yes, let's talk more about
Yeah,
that.
I would not
Speaking of-
ask for her address on.
Speaking of handwritten letters, I got a cool little story to share with you. So, back in, I guess this would have been the mid '90s. I was one of the.
Is it a tape?
Let me. So in the mid '90s, I did a number of recordings. I had a recording studio set up in my basement, and in my hometown, there were really only a few players that were into recording.
Say it, North Bay.
And I happened to be one of them. I was from North Bay, Ontario, and I cut my teeth on a 4-track with, a handful of microphones and a mixing
Fostex.
board, Fostex 4-track, and I was able to capture. I don't know. Maybe it was just luck, but I was able to capture some great recordings. And so one of the bands that I worked with back in the day was a band called Brigati Rosse, and they were a punk band that became a bit infamous in North Bay for their shenanigans.
It sounds like they sound like Fugazi or something.
They would get so drunk. Yeah, like a combination between Fugazi and the Ramones and Sex Pistols. It was kind of all mashed into one.
Gary's dick's getting hard.
But these guys would play with conviction, and they would show up, and I mean, they would be blistering drunk, but just fantastic. So I got a handwritten letter, and who takes the time to handwrite a letter anymore? A handwritten letter.
My mom.
Saying, here's the original 4-track recording tape that you did. And
Wow.
nobody's remixed it yet, and they don't have the 4-track to be able to do it. And it turns out that Siegfried Meyer at Beach Road Studio, who is a collector of vintage recording equipment, happens to have the very same 4-track that I recorded this on. And speaking of cassette tapes, this is the original, and the best part of this was I taped over
Better
Nirvana.
watch out. He's gonna take that from you and break
I
it.
taped over Nirvana Bleach.
That wasn't their best anyway.
This was my old cassette that I recorded with them onto a 4-track. So
Wow.
at some point, I got to connect with Siggy and do a remix on this. And
Show it to the
hopefully-
cameras. They can see the
Yeah.
80s yellow and pinks and greens and
Yeah,
all the
there you
leg
go, folks.
warmers
There you
that
go,
cassette tape is wearing.
Nirvana Bleach,
Nice.
which is actually Brigati Rose.
Amazing.
So I can't wait to work on this.
Amazing.
But I was humbled by somebody that took the time to
Yeah.
do a
Handwritten letter?
handwritten letter. So sorry to interrupt your story, but it made me think of that, and I had to share that with the listeners.
I jammed with a North Bay musician yesterday.
Yes, Mr. Benny Wilson.
It was awesome.
Yeah, but with these house things, like she's talking about, like I don't know. It's just like whereabouts in the city is this?
It's by Fanshawe.
By
so it's
Fanshawe in Oxford.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's
Look
just
for
like
the smoke.
I just
These are the cop cars.
it's hard because like I like really into music and I don't know of her house, and it's like I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's like it takes a lot of word of mouth. It's like my house.
No, because they're all the people that are going are the students, because they don't go anywhere else.
Oh, we go everywhere.
Man,
But there is room for
Okay.
cohesion and safety.
okay, I don't want to get into it because I hate the MIA program personally, and I find that it breeds.
That's rough.
Well, no, I do. I find that it breeds a very egotistical batch of students who think that they know.
Wow.
I know.
This is
And
a
just
modern
hear me
thing,
out.
man.
Hear me out. Because I've dealt with them for 15 years, coming and going, and I see so many of them not succeed.
You have to make your own way once you get out. That's
The
the
opinions
thing.
expressed
absolutely do.
by Brandon Eady do not necessarily
This is
represent.
his, this is his rant.
Here you go,
section.
Angry Edie.
Oh, here you go, Angry Eady time. Let's
You
go.
let her rip,
No,
man.
and man, I whatever. Grady used to have a chip on his fucking shoulder when he was at MIA. They all did, and then eventually they get out, and then they realize, well,
There's a lot of us. So
there's a lot of us, so I'm either going to open a home studio,
Ooh.
or I'm going to be 1% of somebody in
Yeah,
my
you're gonna be
class that
Greg
gets
Bell,
a job.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there's a blanket. There's like an MIA blanket you sit under when you're in the program, right?
It
Where you
absolutely
have all your community is all at
Yeah.
school. You have all the bands.
Mhm.
You're promoting.
I wouldn't
you
say
have
all
the
bands.
gear.
You have a lot of bands.
You have a lot of bands.
Well, these are where bands form.
Sorry,
is in
hate
these
hate is a strong
Texas
word.
King. Texas King. Is
Well,
No, and that's what I mean. There's always great crops of bands that come out of there, and a lot of good students that actually understand it and get the heart. But there's just this egotistical mentality that so many of the students get while they're in there.
Oh, I wouldn't blame MIA for that. I think it's the nature of the business right now.
No,
all
man.
of our songs are vain. They're all about us and what we need, and nothing's about anything else.
Let him finish his thought.
No, it's I don't even know where it is anymore.
You hate MIA.
I'll
I think we
admit
got it.
the worst band I ever seen in my life was in Oshawa, and they were all recording art students.
Oh, really?
This
Who-
was like a month ago.
Who was
I have
it?
had this.
Had some
convers-
weird letter number name or something like that.
I've had this conversation that I'm
That was
ranting about right now with Garth, who actually shares the exact
Attrition.
same mentality.
Okay.
But I don't think that's unique to MIA, is what I'm saying. I'm saying ego's everywhere.
I'm not disputing that ego is everywhere.
It's just you have a very motivated batch of students that are coming out of a
I
program
think
that are
they're
quickly
exceptional, man.
looking to quickly establish themselves in the scene.
No offense, I'm not.
Oh man,
talking
reality
shit,
will
I'm
check
just-
that
So,
for
so
us. Like, we don't need to do
MIA
it
is
for 'em.
drastically different than it used to be because back in the day, to be able to get into the program, it was not based purely on academics. You had to have some
had to have
experience,
talent back then.
relevant
audition.
experience, and
Yeah,
you had
that's
to
true, that's
audition,
true.
right?
And I
And
think
nowadays,
this
When it
it's
first
based
started, it was
purely-
like a Juilliard.
Are you saying they take anybody
Well,
now?
and
No,
probably,
I'm
Brandon,
saying
this
what they
why
do
it's
is they
different
take
for
Sometimes.
strictly
So
Too many
academics.
conversations going on right
If
now.
you can
It's true.
record a 30-second song, like a little cover or something.
I will admit, I ended up in London because I didn't make it into MIA 10 years ago, and I took a different program.
I applied and got rejected.
I was put on the
our
waiting
guy
list.
was an MIA grad. John Cohen was an MIA grad, and I'll tell you, he was humble as pie. And his
Dan Chan and I
roommate
are
was Greg
MIA
Bello,
rejects.
who went on to
We're playing
find
music.
Distort Productions and sign Alexis on Fire, and he was pretty humble as pie too. So
Oh, Greg's
this
super
is a
humble, man.
more
He's
recent.
a good friend of mine.
This is a more recent thing, I think, than I
Well, you got
understand.
it. That's
So you might be
15
right.
years ago, man.
Well,
That's
I'm,
what I'm saying, man. I'm 100 years old.
my issue with MIA is now that it's based strictly on academics and whether or not there's no question if you kind of hunkered down in high school and you spent the time to earn the grades, and you applied to that program, great for you. But if you're going there because you have these aspirations of becoming this huge producer and this huge musician, I would question, your plan, because I don't think that should be your motivation. I think you should be going there to be a sponge and learn as much as you can. But to Edie's point, you shouldn't be coming out of there thinking that, okay, now I'm...
Your shit
Well, it's also, at the same point, I think their curriculums, it's obviously more derivative about recording and production. I don't think they have as much in-depth classes on the actual industry and how things work. And
we have a class that's actually called music industry.
And that's the funny thing to me. Like, you have music industry.
We have entertainment law.
Which that's the one good one that's
business.
there. And I can't shit on it too much because I'm
right.
friends with teachers in the program.
Oh, totally.
And I'm not saying it's shit.
But you're onto something.
I'm just saying
you really are onto something.
I don't know.
I get where you're coming from, but and having not taken the program, I can't speak with authority. Although I did spend some time there working with
I've
some
given
of the students
lectures there before.
Have you?
Man,
well then,
if you were,
did you wear a tweed jacket?
No, I was hungover as shit.
You just dress like Dan.
Sounds like you.
You want to be in the music industry? This is what happens at 8 o'clock in the morning.
You're like this. This is the music industry.
Yeah.
Well, except that you're on live radio in a foreign market at 5 o'clock.
All right,
in the
guys,
morning.
we should get to some more music here, and I'd like to take an opportunity to feature one of the tracks that you guys submitted. And Captain Bringdown? Is that part of your whole thing?
Me?
And the Buzzkills, yeah?
I'm not in that.
But this falls under your...
It does. Okay, I'm friends with Michael. That's part of 331 Arts. That's doing Terrible to Tolerable.
Okay, yeah.
So it's under the umbrella. Like,
is it under the label? No,
not my label.
Oh, okay. Forgive me then.
But they're buddies. Like the recent buddies. They messaged me and we did a Wasted Potential interview. And then Albie met Mike from that and is doing the Terrible to Tolerable with 331 Arts, which
we've been featuring here.
Mike's the bass player in Captain Bringdown.
Oh, okay.
So
that's great.
I sent you a message about them because I'm working with the drummer now, and he's been
very cool
promoting his band through me as well.
Nice. So the Heart and Lungs project, those have been following along. So the inception was, I guess, here on the podcast where we started discussing the preliminary idea behind the project, and it is called Terrible to Tolerable.
I was in the first practice. I was the bass player.
You were?
Before that.
And you're already out?
Yeah.
Man, you must have been terrible.
I recommended Getty, and Getty's
too good.
Getty took my place.
Made him look bad.
It's because of it. It's a band based upon people not playing the instruments that they normally play.
All right,
you were too good, so you had to get Getty because he's terrible.
Yeah.
But he's gonna get tolerable.
Yeah.
So
then
the
he's
bass
fired.
player now is Michael Delvecchio, who is part of 311 Productions. Is that correct?
In Captain Bringdown.
In Captain Bringdown.
He's the bass player, yeah.
Correct. Okay.
And they did the video and stuff that you see on the internet. It's 331 Arts.
Oh, okay. So, let's get to
But
a
watch
track
out for those guys. They're snowballing in London, 331.
Right, they certainly are. And we're looking to connect with them. Obviously, they want to be involved here, and we're certainly willing to partner with
Yeah, and they're doing a
anybody that wants
documentary on the Farewell Durant show that's coming up.
Cool. All right, well, this is Captain Bringdown and the Buzzkills from their album All Balls and No Cock.
These guys rock.
It's second in line on the London Indie Underground.
This industry's full of men.
How do I know you're the real Raphael till I get to? Listen, my love for you is like a river, like a summer breeze that makes my soul shiver. One look from you is more precious than gold. Let's go get some barbecue and get busy.
I never meant to lead the life of a sinner. God only knows how these sins found me. All I know is that I'm just beginning, and I'm a lot bigger when you're on your knees. I was born second in line, just a step behind, with a long, long way to go. With the rainies of a genius mind, I've been a suicide. Give me 5 or 6 on the road. I'm about to for a big mistake, just a chance you take when the blood don't reach your head. Never mind, it's learning everything. I'm going for a ride. I'm going for a ride.
Divine Right of Kings with Filthy Habits.
They just played last night.
And
did,
just
APK.
before that, we had Captain Bring Down and the Buzzkills with Second in Line here on the London Indie Underground. So, pretty heated conversation tonight, I gotta say. We certainly have representatives from,
All over the place.
different
The
experiences
past and the
in
future.
in the
Past and
business.
You know what's interesting is you guys are really talking about all these alternative venues, and I love this conversation because it really shows private innovation. At its basic level, we sort of innovate on a corporate level, if you're a major label, by diverting X percentage of a budget for innovation. Innovation doesn't happen that way. Newton didn't budget time for an apple to fall on a head. Something happened. He thought about something long enough. And you guys are bringing up a lot of opportunities where if an artist can turn another paycheck during the day, maybe that paycheck he has at night suddenly goes much further. And I really want to take it back to message, because if you're telling me that your basement is a venue, why isn't your city hall? Why isn't your anything? Right now there's a casino vote in front of Toronto, and no one's playing there to say they do or do not want it. No one is representing a viewpoint, whether it's for a breakup song or not. All you have to do is play your music in front of something that says, I care about something specific.
Different time though. That's the thing.
Fuck that.
No, but I'm just saying. The reality of our world today. We talked about it
We're
every
a
week.
nation of bystanders.
No,
It's a
I
joke.
know that. But just mean like every week, Brandon and I, we have the same discussion. We have bands, and it came up again. Work hard, work hard, work hard. But they don't, because we look at everything through. Well, fuck. I sit here every week with my laptop on my screen reading the feed. When somebody feeds, not really not getting too much. But at the same, they don't do it. So we can't, when they're not.
But why should they? The best guys we have aren't. The guys that can afford to go aren't. Where's Metric at the casino vote? Do they actually not care? Do they actually not care?
No, but they're in a business now. They're in a different level. And
No,
the-
we're
and the whole-
citizens, man. We're
No, I get-
citizens. And
I
if we
get
want to
that.
be artists.
I am not high enough for this.
Man, I
have
think the
never
whole
been high
country is
enough
too
for
high to fucking not notice that we're
I don't
falling
even get
apart.
high, but I want to get
No,
high
no,
right now.
but
I
Deal
watched a
with it.
teenager yell at a handicapped woman on a city bus yesterday. I watched a guy get the shit slapped out of him at College and Yonge Street. We need artists to say, this is how you can understand an issue that's complicated, and here's how you can affect change.
Right.
And when we as artists believe we can't affect change, who the fuck do we think is going to do it for us? Who do you think? No one. Justin Trudeau is not going to do it for you.
No, but anyways, my only point was just the fact that we live in a different world now where everything's online and people don't get out as much. It's like, like shows.
There's a lot of options available.
Yeah, we have more options, and even at that, we
Porn.
have more options to be lazy, and yes, porn.
Yeah. Well, get off your ass. If you're a band saying, how do I get noticed? Stand for something. People
Honestly,
will notice.
our whole existence of when I did shows existed on the internet.
Yeah.
One thing. So I had a friend text me one day in the middle of me doing my shows, and she's like, "There's a poster up downtown for one of your house shows," and I was like, if you can, I was like, rip every single one of those down, because I'm living in a world that if the wrong person finds out about my house, it's over.
Yeah.
My friend, the first show that I ever did, my friend was like, he's like, just don't let it out to the wrong person, because there's this epic place that was in Montreal that did shows forever.
Yeah.
And you know what? This magazine, this credible scene magazine that was there, was like, can we come in and do like a piece on your place? You know what? As soon as that magazine hit the street, that place got busted their next show, because higher up we wanted to elevate the place and give them some credit for what they're doing.
Yep.
It was done because the wrong people were like, this underground club exists. They're obviously in it for the wrong reason, probably selling alcohol, blah blah blah.
Yep.
Done. It's like you have to hide it. It's like as much as you want to promote it. Like I get things from
Where's Fluffy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Where's Fluffy? Exactly.
That Scene magazine messages me once a month to give my one free month of advertising.
Yeah.
I was like, I've so many times wanted to put one of my shows in there, but I was like, that one thing's the wrong. A cop's gonna see it or something, and my house show's gonna get busted, and then it's done.
Yeah.
Well, this is not a scalable thing then. And that's the problem, is that then because there's an initiative in front of the City of London right now, I think it's of particular relevance, that as stakeholders, artists, venue holders, underground or above ground, can all come and express viewpoints and achieve collaborative solutions, which will be difficult, but will likely contribute to a healthier scene. But if we all pretend that we've got to hide in our basement and what we do doesn't matter, nothing will change.
The Strike the Right Note initiative, which is what you're alluding to, and those that have tuned in previous weeks will know about this through our conversations that we had. But if you happen to be listening for the first time, essentially what's happened is they've realized that London, as well as a number of other communities in not only in Ontario but across Canada, have a rich musical culture. or at least a lot of diverse talent in our markets. And they're looking to, whether it's through, private sector or whatever the case may be, they're looking to bolster our music scene with hopes to improve upon our tourist dollars that come to our community as a result of music. And the initiative is called Strike the Right Note. It was based on a case study analysis that was done in Austin, Texas, which is considered to be the indie music capital of North America. And in a 5-year time span, when they had implemented a business plan in Austin, they had grown their business from $600 million to $1.6 billion through the creation of festivals, through the addition of new venues, through promoting music, essentially. They've realized that London has a hotbed of talent here that they want to harness. Whether or not this is
I don't even think it's that. Like, we're not a border city, but we're like one stop away from Detroit. So
you're an ecosystem.
We're really lucky to get the shows that the rest of Canada doesn't, because bands hop across the border, and Edie knows about it, and they go to Toronto, but they hit London.
That's one of what Jimmy's
certainly
talking
one
about.
of
That
the
is a contributor to what he's talking about.
Certainly one of the elements.
It's
no question.
bringing people.
It is one thing that brings people.
I think what they've realized here is if you look at a place like Austin, there's no question that they have a big, South by Southwest festival or Austin City Limits, and there are big acts that are going to go and contribute to that. But on any given night, perhaps no different than your West Coast swing experience that you had, music is alive in venues right throughout the city, and people now, given all the options that are available to them, select to go out and see shows as opposed to spending time online or whatever other extracurricular activities they have. They're going to see shows, and they're spending money on music. And
Especially when you have such big schools here.
Right, and that's one of the key features, right? So whether or not Edie likes the MIA program,
doesn't matter.
There's a lot of talent that's coming into this.
I'm not saying I don't like it.
I'm kidding.
But I was gonna say, we've got London's own. I was gonna say London's own Rizdales go down to Nashville to play shows, to get exposure.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Right. There's
so it's a good
people
thing.
that are going to leave the
Oh
nest,
no,
right?
but I mean, like it's kind of like when Seattle hit, right? Like the difference is that Seattle didn't put money into their scene, but just meaning that Nashville's focused on their scene and built it up,
right?
And it's garnered the attention of our own Canadian acts like the Stellas and the Rizdales.
That's true.
They go down to play to get that because that's focused on their scene.
Of course,
they go to get into that scene to see if they where they stand as well. And if with London the Strike the Right Note campaign gets going, and they start looking at more venues and stuff, then it'll become a scene, and we'll be able to have people that start looking at going out.
And I absolutely agree with you. I have a couple of comments. I attended now the first two sessions. The first one was the preliminary introduction, and the last one happened at Fanshawe College, where some great hosts, was a networking opportunity. And it was an evaluation of what do we have in this market, what are the resources that are available, and what can we promote. And I got to tell you, I went with that thing with a lot of optimism and thinking to myself, wow, this is a great chance for those with money and initiative and those that are passionate about music can connect with, the people that want to make a difference.
Yeah.
And in turn, after going there were certainly a few of those people that were inspired and wanted to contribute. But at the same time, there were a number of people there that, were
blowhards.
Well, I feel like a lot of headbutting in this city, though.
Yeah, well, there were people that were there saying, what are you going to do for me? I'm a starving musician. I can't make ends meet on music. What are you going to do for me? And I can appreciate that. I really can, because, what is the census showed that the average annual income for a musician is like $7,000.
Yeah.
And whether or not that's diluted or convoluted or whatever,
it
is what it is. And if that represents part of the demographic that was there, okay, so be it, and I get it. But at the same time, on the other end of the spectrum, there was people, much like myself, that were like, okay, well, we know that there's a problem, and we know that we need to do something to fix it. So instead of focusing on the issues, let's focus on the solutions, and let's try to come together in a collaborative effort to try to bolster this scene, because there's not going to be any success if we continue to be fragmented, and if you have people that want to battle wits over what they think is the right thing to do. There's a bunch of great ideas.
You're exactly right, though. If the city is just broken up into a bunch, and I'll admit, and I'm probably not helping it any, but I feel like I stick in my pocket. and like I've never really put that many like indie bands or metal bands or anything on my thing. I don't
Right.
know them. I don't know a lot of promoters or anything that deal with it. And I think it's really separated, and people do stick to their pockets where it's not going to grow because of people.
You've touched on something important,
And
and
I-
it's sort of that the notion that indie connotates youth, and that's not true.
No.
Any jazz combo, anybody who's 50, I don't care if you're klezmer, you're ska, you're reggae, if you're a steel drum band and you're 45 or 50 and you play to seniors, I don't care. You're still indie.
For sure.
And so there's a lot of room for cohesion, and that creates the dialogue that
But-
moves this
Yeah.
forward.
And I was just going to say, to the point you were talking about the butting heads or the guys that are saying, what's in it for me? A lot of those guys are probably saying, like, what's in it for me are from the old school where they got paid well. And now all of a sudden that's kind of dry.
There was some of that demographic there,
Yeah.
certainly. There was people that made mention about, back in the day,
Yeah.
I guess. But
But at the same time, those guys really got to look at it, and it's the same rule as everything else. If you're going to come in, and cause a shitstorm, you should actually have suggestions for the solution as well, kind of thing. So it's disappointing that there's such a great thing happening, and the city's actually looking at it, saying, you know what, we can do this. We want to do studies so we can see if we can build this.
I think like a lot of these
And the
people
youth-
don't know each other. Like there's
No,
not like
no, and
there's
that-
not like
that
a
was it.
scene-based
Yeah.
thing.
that was it.
And
There's
those
not-
that
there's no
do,
industry
yeah.
thing to be like, hey, I want to meet you. You
Right.
meet
This
me.
was
let's
true in
go.
Halifax. When I arrived in Halifax and the Jay Smith benefit was going on, there was still an active scene at Barrowleys that was unaware that right down Barrington Street there was a major community event. So even in our healthiest scenes in the country, there's a lack of cohesion, which they fully admit to.
But that's always. I think we're going to have that anyway.
But I think it comes
anytime.
from age. I think it comes from a divide of demographic, as though, like, for some reason, the modern day Ramones, of where most of them still alive, couldn't play with Billy Talent. We're sort of ageist in our approach to what scenes should match.
Right, but that's what and this is what with the
Strike the Right Note
podcast,
initiative?
yeah, and the podcast
Young
even.
people don't want old people there because they feel like my dad's here to bust me. But I mean, the truth is, amongst players, like, it's irrelevant.
I think
Yeah.
this guy right here bridges the gap more than anybody. Like you obviously, like, because of the way the venue is set up now, you don't do as many shows as you used to. But like he does metal shows, he does indie shows, he does like rock shows, he does punk
Whatever's
shows.
fucking good, man.
Yeah,
But exactly. But there's
Whatever
not like
people want to hear. I might not like.
I know,
something,
but there's not a
people-
lot of people out there. Tony doesn't do like how many like Tony puts a bit of metal on, but he doesn't put like tons.
No.
Like I'm not saying he's bad.
He's
I love
a
him.
rock and roll guy, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. He puts on what he likes, and I put on punk shows because I like punk music. So when an indie band messaged me, I was like, "Sorry, man, you don't like." I'm sort of like, you don't fit my format, and I know I shouldn't be like that because that's another 30 kids that might come out if they're the
Exactly.
and I'm like bad for that.
It's
Open your
one
door.
thing to have that policy in your basement. It's another thing for the city to not recognize that we should have places where this doesn't happen. You know what I mean?
Right.
We have to be thinking outside of our roles when we try to conceive of solutions. And we shouldn't be looking to overlay something that doesn't fit into what we do. We should be wondering how we fit together. And that's
we
probably a
don't
better
know
way to
each
say
other.
it.
I think that's what the problem is. Like the city doesn't bring
agree
all
with
of us
Well,
together.
okay, so
I
that's
will
what
throw
this
this
is
out
for
there
then.
then. I will throw this out there. For anybody that's listening, and we have an open door policy, Lauren, you came tonight to
Yeah, which
listen
is
in and
awesome.
to contribute.
Cheers.
And we always invite people to come here and connect with us. And I got to tell you straight up, this isn't about us.
no.
I've been saying this over and over and over again. It's not about us.
But
it's
the people
about
that come to the show
It's
and that
about
listen
the
to
scene.
music.
It's
Yeah.
about the scene. So come and connect, network. Let's get to know each other, and let's try to help build something together.
Doesn't
And
matter
this
what-
is- And I gotta. We're gonna have to end it at that
Yeah,
because
true.
this is an ongoing conversation that's going to spill over into days and days and days and days going forward. And I know that, and and it's great because I think we had some great dialogue tonight. I think we had some great contributions, and obviously people passionate about music, and that's really what we need. I think this panel today kind of exemplifies the people that we need to have
Yes.
as a voice.
One of our more verbal shows. I think we played like 4 songs.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
my fucking fault.
Well, that said, I think the podcast is going to transition to more of an informative type of thing, and obviously some wacky stuff. I mean, we're not moderated.
No.
We can curse on the podcast, so govern or prepare yourself, I guess.
Yeah.
But
Prepare yourself for sober, boring eating
yeah.
on Fridays from 3:30
yeah,
to 6.
Friday, there's a cut button that I can press that is going to chop out 8 seconds. So I have a feeling I'm going to be dusting that off every now and then, but hopefully we don't get in any
Oh,
trouble.
because we're replacing that cut button with Simpsons quotes.
Right. So we're Edie and I tomorrow. We're gonna have a production meeting and get prepared for our first show there on Friday, and I'm really looking forward to to supporting this market and having you tune in, and you'll be able to call us and let us know what you think and all that kind of stuff. And
Yeah,
so,
totally actually radio.
yeah, but we're gonna save the angry Edie bits for the podcast, and we'll get more into depth in the conversation as it continued, discussion and in support of a lot of these initiatives that are happening, and moreover, just trying to bring our music community together, because we're all in this together, whether or not we believe that right now or we want to believe that, we are really all in this together. It's too small of a world for us to be fragmented. We all got to come together, and I think this past weekend really kind of exemplified that at the Jack Richardson Music Awards. It was the busiest awards that they've had yet, and a great sample of talent from right across the city in a number of different genres. So I was very excited about that. So that said, I need to take a minute to thank the sponsors, and we'll be ending this off, Dustin, with one of your songs. I've got Your Wasted Potential here.
Yeah, I just want to say that it could be the absolute last Dude Ranch show, May 11th. It's my 30th birthday. I have like 6 bands playing. Check the Dude Ranch out on Facebook or whatever.
We'll post a link for you, dude.
Yeah, thanks.
No problem. My pleasure. You're going to that, Jay? Jay's going?
I can.
Okay.
Maybe. When is it?
May 11th.
May 11th. Yeah.
He was just on the other side of the window there. You might not be able to see him.
I wasn't listening.
He's giving the devil horns like, yeah. And I was thinking maybe it was in
across
support
from Tiger Jacks, the 331 Arts guys are doing a documentary on it. So if people want to be interviewed and talk about our house, they're more than welcome to.
Excuse me.
Very cool. Let's burn these down real quick here. So first off, want to thank Jay Rhoda Photography. Great photos this past weekend, by the way, for the Jack Richardson Music Awards, which we do have posted up on our Facebook page. And if you haven't seen the Facebook page, please like us. We're 1 like away from 700 likers, so please like it.
And then go to my page.
Yeah, facebook.com/London
And
Indie
like it.
Underground. And then go to J Rhoda Photography, which you see the link up on the page there. Facebook.com, J Rhoda Photography. London's premier photog.
If you
Been in
like
the
pictures
business
of
for
bands, then
20 years he's been snapping some photos. We say week in and week out. Yes, Instagram and all that stuff is great for capturing those moments and food and your pets and whatever else you want to post up, but it cannot compare with a professional photographer that knows how to work with light, knows how to work with a band, and can capture those moments that you want to capture on stage. So get at him. Good dude. Affordable prices. He's giving you the devil horns right now, but you can't see it.
yeah. Oh, fuck.
Submission Academy Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, run by my friend Steve and Jane Poulin. They're located at Dundas and Egerton. School's blowing up right now. They offer a comprehensive jiu-jitsu program that spans all ages. They've got a great kids program. They are an alternative means to get yourself into shape through hard work and dedication. And they are a fun and maybe a new way to explore physicality that some people may not be familiar with. Some people associate jiu-jitsu with a barbaric combat sport like UFC, when truth is, it was actually called the gentle art, is what it's been dubbed. But it is grappling. It will get you into shape. Pretty much everybody that I know that's gotten involved in this thing has come out the other end of it chiseled.
Well, I was in there a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
so
well,
not everyone. But I will say it was super inclusive. And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to try it. Steve is amazing. He's a pro. You will not get hurt. You will have fun. It's really something, man.
Steve's coming to see you actually at 10 o'clock. He'll be here.
Uh-oh.
So Steve Poulin is a brown belt under Robert Drysdale Jiu-Jitsu. Robert Drysdale is based out of Las Vegas, and he trains a number of UFC stars and is considered to be one of the foremost authorities on Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in North America. So their school right now is going crazy. First class is free. Go and check them out.
Yep.
Great people. Submission
Amazing
Academy.
place.
Big.
Fullcolorcards.ca. Scotty Fairmont, a.k.a. Scotty Finlayson. Awesome dude. I say that every week, but I mash him up one way or the other. Is ventured into his own business. I know previously he was working for the man at another company for a number of years, and now he's branched off and doing his own thing.
Now he is the man.
He is the man. He just doesn't
Job
work for the
maker.
man. So,
So who do I
does
am?
business cards up, and I got to tell you, this guy does some great work. He did not only cards for London Indie Underground and myself personally for the Vault Recording Studio, but recently did it for another project that I'm involved with called Marcellus Wallace, and they look like little cassette tapes, and they're amazing.
Sweet.
So, if you happen to be in the business for business cards, this is the guy that you want to go see, believe me. And, you know, there's something to be said to represent yourself with some level of professionalism, to be able to hand somebody a card that can convey the key pieces of information that you need to get across, whether it's for your business, your band, whatever the case may be. Get them done.
Yep.
What is this?
That's one of the best bands I've ever seen.
Okay.
And
They
if
can't
you
see
can,
it, so.
If you can just put that thing up at the end of this, that'd be great.
I have mine all done up, and I'm ready to send them off.
Yeah. Do you hear that? Jay Rhoda Photography is going to send some stuff over to Scotty Finlayson, a.k.a. Scotty Fairmont.
Yep.
Cool.
What about
Fullcolorcards.ca. And last but not least, Gary at Shirt for Brains. If you can think it, he can ink it. Gary, you've been doing this for a number of years now, at least from what I've known you, and now you've ventured into this foray full-time.
Yep.
And it's your baby now.
Mm-hmm. It is at that. It's a
Cool.
good time.
And you have an embroidery machine.
Yeah, doing embroidery as well. And right now you've got a little promo going on just as a thank you for the last year. So basically what it is, 24 shirts, one color print. You pick the color shirt you want, whatever, $130 plus tax.
That's incredible.
That's like dirt. Dirt cheap. Dirt cheap.
Hear
If
that?
you want a 2-color, it's $160.
Okay, repeat that again. 24 shirts.
24 shirts.
Whatever color you want.
Yeah, whatever
How
color
many colors
t-shirt.
on the sheet? On
one,
the shirt?
one color print.
Color.
One color print. Just like the Underground Sound ones you're wearing today.
Okay.
Basically, $130 plus tax. If you want 2 colors on your shirt, it's $160 plus tax. 24
That's an
shirts.
incredible deal.
My
Yeah.
God.
That's
So what does that work at?
It's like it's five for a one color. It's about $5.50 plus tax.
And what's the average selling price for a T-shirt?
Yeah.
Well, you got to say per quantity. That's an amazing price per
Dude,
unit. If
yeah.
you're starting out in a band or doing anything,
Right.
that's awesome
Yeah.
per
You
unit.
can't get a shirt at Old Navy for that price.
No.
No, and it's basically only till the end of April. So if you're a band out
So
there or a
get on
business
it.
and you need it, get a hold of us. info@shirtforbrains.ca.
Also want to thank Summer Camp Productions
Hey! Hello!
for sponsoring. We have our young kid, Alex, our co-op intern, who's been attending some of the shows here in town. Is going to be posting a blog on our website that is about to launch soon. We're just sorting out the final details on it. It's going to coincide with the radio show, I think. We'll get into the launch. And Alex has been blogging about some of the local shows that he's been attending that contain London contingent, so bands that are from this area, and it's sponsored by Summer Camp Productions and Brandon Eady, who will also be joining me effective Friday for our radio show on CHRW 94.9 FM every Friday from 3:30 to 6 p.m. Please tune in, please share, let people know about this. We're here to support. All you need to do is send us your tracks, send us your listings for shows, and we're going to jam it because we're all about you. It's not
And
about
that
us.
blog's on your page?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I want to thank my guests for coming in today. Brenda, thank you. As always, we'll see you again next Wednesday, and obviously I'll see you tomorrow in preparation for Friday. Lauren Deneau, want to thank you again. So do you want to drop the date for our listeners, or is that something you kind of want to do?
No,
Okay.
it's good. It's April 20th at Call the Office, and it's the Baxters, and it's a whole bunch of other bands. So.
Baxters, great band.
Great
Band. And we'll,
Texas King is playing on that.
Texas King will be playing
Still
on our
Life
podcast.
is playing on that. Noble Truths are playing on that.
Oh, still life.
Mike Dog Sack.
Yep. Mike Dog shit.
Mr. Joel
I saw
Krass.
too many bands to give you music for this week, but I will say if you're in the Halifax area, check out Andrew Giles at Barely's. Check out the open mic at the Globe if you're in Charlottetown. If you're in Toronto, Canada, check out Tupperware Remix Party.
They're awesome.
Holy fuck.
I have those guys at the Bovine all the time. They're
Oh,
fucking incredible.
they rehearse right next door to us, and I can't tell you how much better our jams are when we stop and listen to them.
Amazing. Well, thanks for coming, Joel. Joel's
Hey.
always open, dude. Anytime you
Mike,
want to come
love
down and contribute, we always appreciate it.
Love you.
You know, sometimes you're a bit controversial, but we appreciate that here,
Hey,
too.
someone's got to be. He's just mad.
And last but not least, Dustin Andrews. I want to thank you for coming down today and filling in for us. I know, unfortunately, we couldn't have the Beards of Prey, Greg and Justin Wolf, but we'll look to have them on another week. So
Thanks for having me. I just want to send one out to Brutal Youth. I dropped the record on the 2nd. It's called Stay Honest. Check it out on Get Party Records. My bandmates, other band, Mullet Corpse, which just won Best Metal Band a couple
Correct.
days ago. He's in my band Wasted Potential. And I really want to give one out to my buddies in the Snips. They've been around for like 13 years.
Heartbreaking.
One of the longest running bands in Ontario, one of the best bands. They just broke up today. So this goes out to Ricky, Tone, and all my other boys in the Snips.
wow, amazing. Well, thanks again for coming in. I really
Thanks for
appreciate
having
it.
me.
A couple of show announcements. Next week, we're going to be joined by Mercedes and Morgan Lander from the London band Kitty. If you're not familiar with Kitty, they've toured all over the world. It's an all-metal girl band, or all girl metal band rather.
Mercedes is also in the alcohol.
Yes, I was going to get to that. And Mercedes is also in the Alcoholies, which we featured earlier, which the Alcoholies will be on the radio show this Friday. They're coming in studio to do an interview in advance of their show that they're going to have at Call the Office.
Releasing their EP.
That's correct. They're going to be releasing a new EP. So what you heard tonight, I think, was the debut, if I'm not
That's
mistaken.
amazing. We had a lot of days where their bus was the only place with air conditioning for miles.
Yeah. So Kitty next week, April 24th, Mercedes and Morgan Lander. It is not a live performance. It's just the two girls coming in to share their experiences in the music industry. Really looking forward to it because they've kind of been all over the world and are one of those bands from London that can kind of came full circle and can come back and share their experiences. May 1st, A New Beginning is going to be joining us here on the podcast for a live interview and performance. You may be familiar with A New Beginning, and they just dropped their EP this past weekend. I believe, Brandon, you put on a show for them?
Yeah, it was last Friday.
And, awesome. Yeah, it was a great. From what I understand, I wasn't able to attend, but I understand it was a great show. Wednesday, May the 8th, Simon Larichette from Sugar Shack Recording Studio is going to be joining us, who just took home the Jack Richardson Music Award for Engineer Producer for this year. Very excited to have him here. Great guy. He and I are looking to have a bit of a partnership and work together in this community for some of the bands here, because obviously we've got the Vault Recording Studio here. We're working with a number of emerging artists, and it's always great to have a partnership with the community, so I'm looking forward to having him here. And last but not least, Wednesday, May 29th, I know this is a bit away, but still important fun fact, which is a three-piece funk band here from London, is going to be in the studio for a live performance as well as an interview and talk about their experiences in the music scene. Wow, that was a mouthful.
One moment. Recently, Halifax musician, Canadian guitar player died, Jay Smith. JSmithTrust.ca. If you know the band, if you know the Matt Mays band, he left behind a wife and 2 children. Everything is appreciated, I'm sure. Do your own investigation on how to contribute. But you know, it could have been any one of us. So it's worth a moment.
Great call out. Thank you. Before we cut to our final song of the evening, just want to give a shout out to Randy Burke, otherwise known as Albie, at Twitter, Albie_time, who's part of the band Heart and Lungs that we're featuring their documentary From Terrible to Tolerable. Sent us out a couple of tweets here. First off, he said, "Tapes, suck it, I have lots."
He does.
And he attached a picture, which he does have a pretty
Was it a spread eagle tape?
It didn't show specifically, it was just a stack of them.
Too,
and last but not least, he did say that he was going to be calling into the radio show every Friday to ask for Motor League.
Back to the Motor League by Propaganda.
Back to the Motor
Because
League.
he
There
always
you go.
gets stupidly drunk on Sundays and hangs off the door of the Night Owl.
Right. All right.
Chanting it.
So we're going to end this baby off. Dustin, I've got the Wasted Potential file open here. What would you, of these 7 songs that you brought to us today, what would you like to end this baby off with?
Is this show all ages?
Yes. No, you can... Oh, that's what
the
it's
name
called?
of the song, dude.
Hey,
That's awesome.
He's not punk rock enough
This is
to
all
get that.
ages.
yeah, I am so not punk rock.
Gary was punk rock enough to get that,
Yeah.
but
Thank you. All right, folks. Well, once again, you've been listening to London Indie Underground, London's only independent music podcast, showcasing some of our area's most talented artists, bands, and personalities. My name is Jimmy James. We're broadcasting live from the Vault Recording Studio. Join us on Friday, 3:30 to 6 p.m. on CHRW 94.9 for me and Brandy Needy for London Indie Underground on commercial radio,
Brandy.
supporting our local community. Hope you have a great night. Thanks for tuning in. See you next week. This is Wasted Potential with Is This Show All Ages on the London Indie Underground.